Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Straight Outta Stanton. It's been a long while,
It has
but
been a
we are
long while.
finally doing it. Hello, Maso.
Hello.
How have you been, friend?
Pretty good actually. Yeah. Been
Uh, I know
I've
you
been
guys are
mostly
opening the
kind of
zoo.
been mostly taking a break from Star Citizen stuff, but still casually kind of following along. But yeah. Yeah, mostly we've you've been working a lot on our reptiles because they're getting bigger, so we've had to build new enclosures for them and added one new guy to our family, and he is a Argentine red tegu. He's a big boy. He's only a
Huge.
meter now, but he'll get to almost 2 meters by the time he's full grown. That's 6
Only a
feet for
meter.
freedom units
It's like having a
ish.
mini crocodile in your yard or apartment.
Well, yeah, they're super intelligent animals. Like and yeah, they're basically like reptile puppy dogs. They're very very social. They're very intelligent.
It,
Quite affectionate. And I say that I say that knowing that you can't really anthropomorphize or put kind of mammal behaviors onto reptiles because they think very differently than we do. But tegus are one of the reptiles that do genuinely seem to like interaction, seek it out by themselves. So yeah, so that's pretty exciting. Though we thought we named him Mars, but now we're like, I don't know, we're
oh,
not
the
quite
poor
sure.
guy
We're
is
still
meter long and still doesn't have a name?
yeah. Well, he's only a few months old, to be
No,
fair.
come on, bro.
Yeah.
Poor thing. By the way, if you guys are
Well, we
into
have to figure it
reptiles,
out, and we have to get it like because they will actually recognize their name. So like we have to
yeah,
figure
well,
it
I
out
thought so. Yeah.
soon. Yeah.
If you guys are into reptiles, I strongly suggest following Masterclass on Twitter. I actually wake up to a few funny retweets and a couple of reptile pictures because I have you on my feed and I like
Yeah.
reptiles. So for me, that's like a win-win. But yeah, for me, I moved to Prague. So hello from Czech Republic.
Oh yeah, and if you're new to the channel, that's or if you hadn't heard, that's kind of one of the reasons it's been so long between episodes here because
Yes.
Jag was moving.
I got a job for wargaming, specifically World of Warships game, where I'm the new community engagement manager. And apart from just moving, it's been a bit of an interesting thing. Like I was thinking about setting up, stuff in my apartment where I can record podcasts and stream potentially. But the apartment where I'm in, the internet is really bad. The sound is not good. But then I got the green light to do these things from the studio where I work, which is why now I have a very, very fancy setup. And
Yeah,
yeah, the production just
your
went a little
camera
bit
is
up.
ridiculous. Yeah, your camera's ridiculously high quality,
Now we have
ridiculously high
to,
frame rate.
yeah, we have to move you to Prague as well so that we can do, podcasts in 4K,
My wife
120
toured
frames.
through Czech Republic with her choir back in her university days, and she said
Nice.
Prague was one of her favorite places.
It's stunningly beautiful. I
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
this even before. Like I come from Belgrade, which is kind of a medieval city and whatnot, but when you come to Prague, you're like, oh my god! It's like everywhere you go and wherever you turn, there's this clock tower or a gate or a bridge,
Mm.
and you feel like you're in a, I don't know, in a game. But well, I was here as a tourist before. Now that I live here, there are certain things I'm not really in love with. And they're kind of annoying me. Prague is like 24/7 chaotic. Like there's tourists and
Oh yeah,
people nonstop, and
yeah.
I live in a strict like downtown area, so I have to move for sure. And yeah, the weed, man. Like weed is a thing here now. Like you can
Mm.
smoke weed, and every street has at least like 4 CBD stores, and Prague smells like weed. And I don't even think people
That's
who
funny.
smoke weed are fans of that. You know what I mean? Just an
That's
annoying
actually
smell.
kind of amusing that it went that way because, I mean, BC, where I live up here in Canada, is, like, literally renowned for its cannabis and its cannabis industry, and, we fairly recently kind of legalized as well, but, yeah, it's totally the opposite, like, here the amount of stores are very strictly controlled, and they have to be, like, fully sealed, they have to be blanked out windows, like, you can't be able to see inside and stuff like that, and, like, you absolutely wow, this is just kind of Victoria in general,
Hmm.
smoking anything in public is very strictly regulated. Um,
Man, every
so
park you
yeah,
go to is, and the problem with this is like I don't consume, but I don't mind, I don't care. But it's like cigarette smoke, it just vaporizes whatever, like it goes away very quickly after you've consumed the cigarette, right? Or but with weed, I don't know what's
it
with
does
it, but it
linger.
stay
It
there and
lingers,
it's
yeah, yeah.
very strong smell, right?
Yes, yeah, and you either love it or you hate it. I don't think there's really
Yeah,
much in between, but
I'm not a
yeah.
fan. And then there's some other things that are so strange, like I think 60-70% of restaurants are Asian food, which is so strange because Czech food is
Hmm,
great, and they're actually proud about their cuisine and whatnot. But I guess that's hip now. So there's people from all around the world, but so you have you can't even, like, there's Korean, obviously Chinese, Japanese, Indian, so many Indian restaurants. There's
hmm,
and then it goes into, like, even, there's Cambodian, like, food
hmm,
restaurant. There's Thai food. There's there's so many. I think even more than
interesting.
60%, which
Is it
is
like a is it like an immigration thing? Like, because I do know that, like, a lot of people who
no,
immigrate
they're
to
run.
Canada, for
They're
example, like, they take their food they with them, and they will oftentimes, like, that'll be kind of their living as they start a restaurant or something like that, but
Most of them are run by Czechs, and they
really?
taste
Huh.
like Czech Asian food.
Oh, no.
So it's more of
No. That's the
people
worst.
figured out that, it's like a buzzword, and they're not selling, I don't know, goulash anymore. They're selling
Oh,
sushi.
that's really unfortunate. Because, like, at least if you're gonna like, I love a lot of, Asian cuisines from kind of all over Asia, but it like, I I want it to be, relatively authentic tasting, especially if it's from, like, Thai or Vietnam or places like, places that I've been, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm seeking that kind of food out, I want it to be reminiscent of those places I've traveled, but
So the funny thing is, like, here in the studio where I work now, there's people from all over the world, and you know they know where the best food from their, like, region is. So there's a good
mm,
restaurant for everything. Prague is big, but not like, oh, there's so many, and most of them are just like, whatever. I can also go to McDonald's or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Um, and then the nightlife here is kind of very popular, especially
yeah.
in, like, downtown. And there's a lot of these, like, I don't even know how to like, nightclubs with very specific, um, you know, nightly program. And there's some very strange thing that at 9 p.m. when these clubs open, you have these guys on the streets that start stalking people and following them, like shadowing them. So this happened to me as well. Came out of metro, the guy's following me. I stopped in the middle of the street. He goes like 10 steps further, stops, and I'm like, okay, shit. Then I went to McDonald's. He waits in front of the McDonald's. Luckily, I
Mm.
live across the police station, literally. And when I went to my street, I stopped and I looked at him, and he starts speaking something in Czech, and I'm like, I don't speak Czech. So then he starts speaking in Jamaican English, mud, and asks me if I want to go to a nightclub. And I'm
Oh,
like,
interest so they're like hawkers for the different
yeah,
nightclubs?
but that's so
Huh,
crazy, dude. Like, it's literally, it literally feels like someone's, following you, which they are.
huh.
So whatever. At least now I know what's going on, because Prague
Yeah,
is a safe
they're not
city.
trying to
It's not
mug
like,
you, they're
yeah, exactly. You don't feel threatened, but man, at that time with that, now that I know what it is, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they usually follow guys anyways, so which I think is very important. Imagine someone following, I don't know,
Yeah.
my
You'd have a
sister or
much
to
more visceral kind of
yeah,
reaction
yeah, yeah,
probably.
exactly. And then the other thing is like if you want to visit the city center, especially on weekends or holidays, man, like you can't move through the crowds. It's insane how many tourists are here. It's just
Hmm.
crazy.
That
Anyways,
it then? Are they kind of like looking for like tourists to kind of like, show the nightlife to or whatever? Or is it do
for
they
sure,
follow
yeah.
locals too?
Oh,
Hmm,
well, I
interesting.
don't know if they can. Like he approached me in Czech, so I
Mhm.
guess yeah, they go for whatever. I don't know. I don't know if they get paid per customer. I just yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah,
Interesting.
therefore I've been moving and working, and it's very overwhelming. The work itself, it's amazing, but also there's a lot of new stuff for me. So I didn't play SE much, but when 317 dropped, I did play a little bit. Um, and I don't know, man. I downloaded a patch. I was excited about selling and scavenging and whatnot. And yeah, after a couple of hours, I just like at the end I had this feeling of I don't know if I'm gonna play anymore this patch. And then today I played a little bit more, but I actually did not accomplish anything. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna go and play something else because I'm limited with time. And this is something we're gonna talk today later in the topic where if you're limited with time, how difficult it is to actually enjoy Star Citizen in its current state, which maybe has
Yeah,
some
I
good
mean,
and bad sides. Like,
especially factoring in like you pointed out, kind of like some lingering stability issues in
yeah,
317, throwing a wrench into things. Uh, At the risk of starting this show out sounding super salty, I mean, this is another one of the reasons that we haven't done an episode in a while because I just what is there to talk about? I mean, yeah, okay, there's some things that they added to 317, but they don't appreciably change any of the gameplay, right? Like that's not
I,
going to be here
I mean,
for
selling is kind of a big
years
change,
yet.
but
Is it though? What
in
does it
long
really
term, it
do?
is. I think it is because okay,
Like
we'll talk about this when we get to the
you make
point.
more
But
money. Like
it's
but
not.
but
It's not
what do you
only
do with
that.
that money?
I
Same
just feel like
stuff.
now looting has more value in a way. Like, oh, I could maybe sell this, and there's some lootables now that they changed the loot table, right?
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about
It's
all
a
this,
step
but like it
forward.
exactly. I think 317 for me personally, right now, I expected it's gonna change the game more than it did. So, yeah,
I
just
didn't,
like
but that's
I
because
know,
I'm
right? And I shouldn't, but I'm like that. I always get excited, even though
yeah.
even when I'm like, no, I don't care. Um,
Every time I think that a next patch is gonna really change things, it doesn't.
yeah,
So, I've just kinda got to a point where I've just resigned myself to that. So,
I do
you know
think 317 is a really good patch, though. Like not to play, but I think it brought
yes.
some
It
really
it
good
brought
systems in a way.
it brought systems that we need,
Yeah,
Like, they're not glamorous and they're not game changing, but obviously, they're a step forward to getting to that area or to that place where, where the game does feel a little bit more connected and like a game. But, you know, yeah.
I
317
I agree.
itself, I wasn't super excited for. I played a little bit.
No, but
Mainly just flew to the river, but
it, yeah, but even though like I did not play much, I feel positive about the patch for sure. And I think with 317 coming now, I think this year actually might bring some interesting things to Star Citizen. I think at the end of the year, it's going to be mind blowing. I don't think this is, as there was a lot of it, like, is this a year of Star Citizen or not? Like around the internet, I'm not like trying to say anything like that, but I think it's, I honestly, I think it's already better than last year with what it
yeah,
brought
maybe.
already.
I
Because
just,
last year
I
was like
like
really bad.
You remember how at the beginning of the year we did our like projections or like our hopes for Star Citizen this year?
Hmm.
And one of my hopes was just for the game to be a little bit more interconnected and working together.
I do remember, but I don't know what would I say about it. Like, does it? I don't think it's there
well,
yet.
that's kind of where I'm going. Like I'm seeing these incremental step forward patches, but I don't think I'm going to get the Star Citizen. You know, I don't think I'm going to get my projections this year, basically, or my wish
I see
list. I
what you're
don't
saying.
think
Yeah.
it's going to end up feeling interconnected. I think there's going to be progress made. Obviously 317 is already, kind of making progress. And if we do actually see the cargo refactor in 318, that'll be another, pretty big step forward to kind of like getting the game to a state where I actually would be really interested in playing it.
Because
But
these things are what
I'm just
opens
not holding my breath.
potential, right? Like cargo refactor selling,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
some other
and
things.
just given the black hole of resources that Squadron 42 is, and how basically every team has been co-opted, including the PU team, the
Mm,
one team that was working on PU stuff, like yes, they've said that they expect stuff to filter out of Squadron 42 into the PU, after being kind of hammered out there, but I just like for me, uh, this year, I think I'm just kind of like, wake me up when Squadron 42's out. Like, but
yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be funny because I'm probably gonna be the salty one here by the sounds of things.
we'll
But
see.
yeah, yeah.
There's some good and some really bad things. Before we go into the news, when we both played 317 at least a little bit, and you sent me a message on Discord that you said that the frame rate is much better for you this patch.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Yeah. I noticed I'm getting like 50 to 60 FPS even in major cities right now, which is, I mean, it's something that we've been kind of hearing about, since the PTU dropped, and there was a couple like dev posts about their implementation of various aspects of the Gen 12 render or something like that, which were supposed to kind of like help with frame rates, not be like a light switch where all of a sudden everybody's getting 60 to 120 fps or anything like that, but I definitely did notice after some stuttering kind of loading in for the first time. Even in ArtCorp, I was between 50 and 60 fps on an RTX 2070. So not I would say
Mm.
probably a middle range kind of PC, um middle to high range PC. uh
Yeah, it's hard for me
But
to
yeah,
figure
yeah.
this out because I have a new laptop, which is pretty good. Uh, but what I did notice is the frame rates did not seem to bother me at all. Like the game looks kind of smooth. But do you remember when there was a last wipe? When we talked about it, how the game felt responsive all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have that now. I feel like the game is back to very it's almost like there's input lag. Like if you want to do something, it takes like I don't know, a couple of milliseconds for the thing to start happening. Let's say you turn
Like,
or start running or move your ship or anything. It just doesn't feel like super responsive as it was as some other like I remember comparing
I
this to
wonder if
Destiny 2. Which like
I
it
wonder if
feels so
that's
smooth.
if that's a PC, because I that was definitely not how I felt. Like I just felt like everything was running just crazy smoothly.
Huh.
Like there's a little bit of input lag in like running, but like I think that's like it doesn't feel out of the ordinary because your character was always supposed to feel like it has mass. But yeah,
You know what
the
now?
only thing I've noticed
Hmm.
like a little bit of lag in and stuff like that is, like, you push a button on the elevator or whatever, and there's that like little bit of, you know, time where it kind of
Yep.
takes time to kind of register that you'd push that button.
Mm.
That's something I've noticed that's back to kind of feeling normal. But performance itself so far for me has
You
felt
know what?
really, really smooth, really solid.
I really wonder now, like the servers. It's funny we don't even talk about 30Ks anymore and all that, but it's so
Mhm.
easy to forget how big of a deal that was. I remember when I started playing, it was persistence when it comes to like your money and ships and 30Ks. And
Yeah.
if that's fine, I can play this game forever. Well, guess what? I have these two things. I don't really feel like playing the game that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's funny how skewed it is in our heads. But then when you get what you think you want, sometimes just not
Yeah.
what you need. But I wonder now
Yeah,
when
that
the servers are so sorry, when the servers are so stable, kind of, if you get into a server that is kind of, worked out in a way, maybe that's what happened to me, or I don't know, because
could be.
I
Could be.
didn't get any interruptions in gameplay, so to say. So maybe I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, it's hard to say. Yeah. I'd be surprised if it's the rig. I would be
Me
really
too. I mean, given
surprised.
the specs
Yeah,
on that that you were telling me about, like that is a beast of a machine. Like
yeah.
it's
Uh,
definitely more powerful than my desktop. So
Well,
you
it's
know,
still a laptop, so there's a it's always a difference.
yeah.
But it
But you're
shouldn't. I mean,
talking
in
like
other games, it's like everything just flies, and I wouldn't
you
like. This is much better than what I used to play on back home, and I didn't have,
yeah
yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, I
I mean,
mean, who knows? It's it is alpha after all. So.
I mean, it's been something that we've talked about multiple times on this show is like just how crazy it is, how different of an experience one person can have from another,
True,
you
true.
know?
It could be
So,
like
yeah,
it could be working worse for I don't know, you know, certain GPUs or whatever or CPUs, and just like
maybe.
there's because
Yeah. Or like you said, it
obviously
could have been a server thing, but
or
yeah.
server, yeah. But I mean, yeah, there's so many things that can lead to better or worse experience, right? All
Yeah.
right. Um. Well, let's get into the news. Uh, I'm gonna give you the first one. This is something that flew
Yeah.
under my radar, and I haven't heard many people talk about it. But actually, when you think about it, it is kind of big. So go for it.
It is potentially pretty big. And again, was probably gonna make me sound relatively salty or cynical because I don't know. I mean,
Should we
there's a
make a
lot that you
disclaimer
could
that
potentially
we want Star Citizen to succeed as always,
yeah.
but we don't
Um
always feel good about things that happen?
So we got a very small amount of theaters of war news in the most recent um, roadmap update, where there was a line or two in there that basically says that Firesprite is no longer working with CIG on theaters of war. And they basically said that all Firesprite's work is being now internally handled by a new team or a renamed team, which is the Arena Commander feature team or something to that effect. And this is this is potentially big news, and this is where the kind of like cynical part of me kind of is thinking like, are we seeing another Ilphonic situation here? You'll remember a few episodes back when we actually talked about theaters of war being handled by Firesprite. It was announced by Firesprite. One of my first reactions to that was like, well, I really hope that we don't have an Ilphonic situation on our hands here, because we had, you know, for those of you who are kind of new here, um, we had a situation in the past where CIG hired a third party studio to work on Star Marine, and it was a huge debacle.
It was a
Like,
disaster.
it was an absolute disaster. And basically, everything that studio ended up doing had to be scrapped. Um, there was apparently communication issues on both sides. The Ilphonic accused CIG of really poor management, and it was basically a shit show. And one of the things that I said when I first saw this, that Firesprite was going to be working on Theaters of War, was, like, I hope this doesn't happen again. And
Can we
Firesprite
let's
recently got bought out by Sony, I believe,
Oh, see,
and
this is what I wanted to ask.
there was definitely some concern, like, well, okay, what's gonna happen to Theaters of War? Um,
Well, but didn't CAG
and
like buy part of Fire Sprite?
Firesprite? No, no, no. They bought part of, the Montreal. I can't
Ah,
remember the
okay.
name now.
I wonder if like because
Uh,
this was not anything
Turbulent.
official. Like Turbulent, yeah. I wonder if they like could like hire folks from Firesprite who were working on Theaters of War and maybe implement. Guess there's no
I don't
like
know. Last
any
we heard about
transparent
this
explanation from CAG about it.
exactly. this is where the cynicism and potential saltiness kind of comes from for me. It was a single line. We have no further information. The last we heard when Sony did buy Firesprite was that Firesprite would be completing basically all of the contracts, that they were hired to do. So I don't know. Did they finish their work? It doesn't sound like it.
Maybe they
It
did.
sounded like they based, but we don't know anything about this, and it really feels kind of like CIG is hoping that we forget about Theaters of War, which is now, by the way, according to one count, 29 months since Theaters of War was announced and supposedly going to be out soon. So over 2 years. Uh, and we didn't get any information that there even was a third party company working on this. Um, on Theaters of War, we found out that through a Firesprite tweet. Um, we didn't hear anything. We haven't heard anything about Theaters of War in months and months and months. Uh, and now again, we have this kind of this single line of text basically saying that Firesprite isn't working on it anymore, and it does feel like, okay, what's going on here, like,
Well, that's
because
the
to me it
problem.
feels
Well,
opaque, it feels underhanded, it feels uh like there's stuff going on here that they are deliberately not telling us and
that's the
hoping
thing.
that we
There's no
just kind of forget the
communication.
whole thing ever happened.
So
And
we are projecting like the worst possible
yeah,
scenario because we don't
yeah,
really, you don't really trust CIG with these things, which is unfortunate. But they are, they're doing it. So like I really
they
don't trust CIG
yeah,
communication that much. I hope it changes
no,
in the future,
they've proved in multiple occasions over the last couple of years that they can't be trusted to
especially with things like
to
this.
communicate on stuff like this. Exactly. Yeah.
But if
So
we
it
wanted,
does feel kind of slimy right now. And
yeah, I agree. But if we wanted to give them a benefit of the doubt, maybe for what's the name of the yearly IAE or whatever the maybe they're done. Maybe they're like polishing assets within CIG Studios or whatever. Maybe whatever funding. Sorry, Firesprite. That was unintentional. Firesprite was supposed to do. They have done. Maybe they did it faster because Sony now can, I don't know, quadruple their numbers or whatever they need, and they wanted to get rid of these contracts. Not talking only about, obviously they were not only
yeah,
working with CIG, right? So they can start working for what Sony acquired them, or I don't know. Like all I'm saying is, I agree with you, but I kind of want to hope that there's another, story to this. But again, I am
I hope so
disappointed
too.
that there's no communication. If CIG came out and said, "Okay, guys, this is what happened," okay, we don't have to think about these things. We don't have to
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
And even if they told me Theaters of War are done, I still wouldn't trust them until I see it. But at least we would have it. We wouldn't have to like bang our heads and like, oh my god, what does this mean now? And
Yeah.
for any other studio, especially like AAA studios, who am I to care about these things, right? But we always have to come back to a point where who's funding all this? It's you, it's Maso, it's me, and it's cold open development. But these are exactly the situations where you kind of want to hear what's happening, and you don't want to find out
Yeah.
through a leak or data mine
Or
or
a
whatever the
single
fuck.
line in a yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
or
and
from
that's
Sony or whatever. It's like just
yeah. That's kind of it, right? Like I feel like we have, as a collective community, given them the benefit of the doubt multiple times in the
but
past,
yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying.
I
I would
just feel
like to
like,
give them, but I feel like you
yeah,
do. So
I don't feel like I can anymore
yeah,
because like I feel like I've given you the benefit of the doubt so many times in the past, and not 100% of the time, but a few key times it's turned out that no, you didn't deserve the benefit of the doubt there because you
true.
were you know uh
It's more like now we're at the point where instead of giving them benefit of the doubt, you're like, maybe they can surprise me this time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I'd like to be surprised, and then we
yeah,
can go back
the
to potentially hoping for good stuff in the future, because right, the trust for me, I mean, um, whoever was following this podcast for a while, I have trust issues with CIG. I just do. I don't
Yeah.
trust him for so many things, which is unfortunate,
I
but it is
don't
what it is.
anymore either, unfortunately. And that is unfortunate because I was really, really, you know, excited about this whole project and the development and, you know, and I just feel like kind of as things go on, I'm given fewer and fewer reasons to kind of to give them that sort of trust. And this to me, again, feels political because Theaters of War is a meme now, where because again, it was one of those things where they one of their lead developers stood up on stage at CitizenCon and hyped the crap out of Theaters of War and said it's going to just be focused on gameplay. It's not going to be pretty, and we're going to get it into your hands soon. And we're now, almost 2.5 years later, and like and it feels like they're just hoping that everybody forgets about this because they haven't been able to deliver. And again, like, before anybody chimes in the comments or anything like that, I get it, like, you can kind of engage in a project and think that it's going to be easy and then run into a roadblock. And we have heard that is essentially what's been happening with Theaters of War. um the performance, they've just haven't been able to get the netcode performance up to a level where it's felt playable and it's
Satisfying
felt like it's a good
for them, yeah,
experience.
or up
But
to the standard or
eh,
whatever.
but seeing stuff like this with, like, contracting out to Firesprite, then Firesprite, being bought, and it makes it feel like a debacle. And the lack of communication about Theaters of War and about what's going on with Firesprite feels like a political move where it's like it's an attempt to kind of sweep it under the rug. And that to me is frustrating. Um
I
and
cannot
I
disagree.
mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that you're right and that they're basically they've assigned a team to it, and they're pretty much done, but I
Oh,
I
that's
doubt
just
it.
me hoping as well, yeah, or
Yeah.
coping. But I'll tell you something now that you talked about this, and you know what? Like 3 months ago, I would be pissed and furious about this. These 2 months working, in a development studio made me so much more calm about certain things because,
Yeah.
dude, it's just so. We talked about this
You see
before,
how it
but
goes.
yeah, I understand now that there's certain things that you either don't know or you cannot explain or you cannot say, or but there's some things that I know, like, they were frustrating to me so much about World of Warships, and now that I saw it, I'm like, huh, well, there's no other solution to this. Like, out of possible solutions, this is the only one that actually makes sense, which
Yeah.
kind of sucks, man, because you can't, as a player, you can never come to
Yep.
terms with these things. Like, if you don't like something,
Yeah.
you don't like it, and it's rough, man.
Well, and we've had this conversation multiple times before where again, I mean, a lot of my friends were in
Yeah,
in game development, so I've kind of got that peek behind the curtain a few times, but I still, you know what? And again, I mean, like you said, they probably have their reasons for doing this, but it doesn't feel good from the outside,
we should know the
the
reasons.
way that they're handling this.
Like, not
I would like to
like
know the
directly
reasons.
the reasons, like, you can't say
Yeah,
everything. Obviously, you're a multi-million
yeah,
dollar company on a yearly basis, you can't say everything, but you
yeah,
should say something. Like, trust is a
yeah,
thing, between player base and the studio, and it's important.
yeah.
But yeah, let's see how that unfolds. That's something that we can, like, potentially talk about in the future, which is
It
interesting.
wouldn't be so egregious if CIG didn't have such a history of having
Yeah,
their chief devs stand up in front of people and, make all these bold claims and get everybody so excited and so hyped, only to have them either eat their words, be proven completely false, or or have to kind of go back on it, right? Like,
yeah,
this is just kind of one more thing on a pile of those things, and that's kind of why it's yeah,
it's true.
it feels not good. Doesn't feel good. But yeah.
Okay, so In other news, there are some changes in 3.17, and we're just gonna go over them. I just deleted the river, right? I know I moved it down there. That's fine.
Oh, you just moved it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I'm looking at our notes here, so because there's a lot of things. So the first thing, like the very very well praised feature now, and in a good way feature,
Yeah.
is you can key bind ATC, which means you can key bind calling the station to let you take off or land. This is something that I hated it so deeply before this happened, and this is why I started using voice attack. Like this was the first thing I was like, can you voice this command? And there was someone who made Redroll, is the person who actually helped me with it, where I can send like landing and request landing, and then it would go through very well mapped, like where the mouse clicks and all that, so that I don't have to go through the whole UI. So right now you can bind it. Mine is F5. I don't think it does anything else in the ship. Some people are suggesting double N or Alt N, Control N, stuff like that, because landing gear. But whatever it is, or your sticks or whatever, man, this is it's something we're gonna forget in like 2 weeks, because it just was supposed to be here forever. But it's a big change for those who didn't have it for what now 5-6 years of actually flying around and requesting landing. It's a good one. So credit where credit's due. Thank you, CAG, for keybinds. Then we got. Oh, do you have anything to add? I mean, this is fairly straightforward. I'm sure you like it.
No,
whatever.
That one.
There's the new thing is selling. You can now sell your things from your inventory and things that you loot. This is something I was waiting for. From the moment they announced looting, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with loot?
What's the point of looting if you can't actually do anything with it? Yes.
And if you're being fair, they immediately said that they wanted to push these two together, but again, they had a blocker. It couldn't happen, and it's here now. Yes. And it doesn't work as expected, but that's alpha for you. Yeah. But when it works, it's actually pretty good, honestly.
It's another one of those things where it's like, I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. It doesn't make me want to play 3.17, but I acknowledge that it's like obviously a key step forward to making the game feel kind of more like an actual MMO. On the topic of selling, I think one of the more interesting things that they pointed out in some of the dev videos was the adjusted loot tables. So now they've taken certain items and certain armors, certain weapons. You can't buy them in stores. The only places you can get them is in bunkers or from different kind of lootables. Again, I think it's cool. It's not game changing because frankly, none of the items in this game are really game changing. You know what I mean? Like,
not really. Yeah.
The armor, you're pretty much just hunting for aesthetic. Reasons.
They could be.
They could be, but they aren't right now.
Crossfield was only lootable, for example. Your jump drive.
If what? Sorry.
Crossfield.
Oh yeah. Ship lootables. That's a whole other thing.
But
because those actually change the gameplay.
This is now it's not physicalized item, but they are in your inventory, so you can carry ship items. Like I just carried 2 crossfields from New Babbage to Mikkel 1, and I was actually wondering if someone blew my ship at that time with these 2 crossfields, would they get them? Potentially.
That's interesting. I'm
been glad no one blew my ship, because that's a lot of money, but
yeah.
I think they would. I think you'd be able to loot them.
I don't know, because you can't actually loot the items from anywhere else. This is going to require some testing. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, you can now. You can, like, if you kill someone, you can strip everything off of them, and also
but not ship parts.
So see, you remember when I said, like, now, which we're going to talk about this as well. But if your ship blows, it turns into a 1 SU box, and everything that was in the inventory of the ship is now in that SU container, which is a physicalized container that you can put into your ships for Those who don't
So
know,
maybe you would be able to drag and
yeah,
drop it
I
across
think
to your
I want
local
to test
inventory or
this
something.
really.
Hmm.
And if you could find ship components, which minded, there it might be a thing that they just they sneak in and don't tell
Mm,
us. That would be interesting. Like if
that
you
would
can
be, yeah.
find good shields or I mean quantum drive is the thing, right? Like if you're a brand new player getting rush
Yeah, yeah.
early, for example, instead of EOS or
Yeah, because 'cause
whatever.
they're not cheap either, really,
No,
like those,
especially
especially
size
the
2, size
larger
3.
quantum drives, they're expensive.
That would be interesting to see. On that topic, Captain Burks did a video. He does it extremely rarely, so if it's good, I kind of tend to mention it. And he made a video about how to make money looting in 317, where he explains this, like how can you make a container. And it's actually one of the things that you said is like armors are bulky. You can sell them for a lot of money, but they take a lot of space. So if you watch this video, it's in the description. It's gonna explain to you how to create this one SU container where you can. Long story short, they went. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I still suggest watching. They went into a bunker and they brought this container with them with tractor beam, and they made 700,000 or 800,000, so almost a million
Yeah,
in one bunker. The reason they made this much is because they could loot everything. But
yeah,
also now
yeah,
in the loot tables are Hedonite and the two most precious like hand minables. And there's loads of them. Like if you find a Hedonite container, you find like, I don't know, like 20, 30 pieces of Hedonite in it. And they sell just like they
okay,
sell
cool.
from ROC mining or hand mining. So actually very, very lucrative stuff. Um,
Interesting, yeah. And for anybody who's listening, the reason that you're able to get that much, and I'm going to spoil the video right here, it's because there's a way that you can actually get your hands on a 1 SCU container, not one of the mini boxes, but like a big box. And when you drag
yes,
that into an outpost, you can load everything in there.
exactly.
Like, no multiple trips. It's literally just basically a giant box, throw everything in the giant box, and then tractor beam it out.
Not like you watch the video to learn how to make the container and use it.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
really triggering is that now if you go to it's not refinery. What's the other station? What one type of stations like L1s and L2s have refineries? The other ones have something else. What's the trade
Cargo deck.
cargo deck?
Cargo
If you
decks?
go to cargo deck, you can buy a box,
Like a
but
1 SU box?
it's not one SU and it doesn't
Oh,
fucking
okay.
work. It doesn't work. It's an empty box that doesn't
Oh,
work. So it's so silly. He actually starts the video with showing this one, and then he's like, actually, you don't want this. But then he explains everything, obviously, and how to do it. So I mean, listen, the only issue I have with this, well, there's two. One, we need multiple item selection to, like control A, select or
yeah, yeah,
control click to select certain items, because dragging one by one item is very, very annoying. It's the same for selling. It's very annoying. And then confirming
yeah.
everything, it just takes so
In their
much of your time.
defense in their defense, they have acknowledged that, like, all
Yeah,
this is, like, they know. They know
true,
that
true, true.
that it's not where it should be right now.
Yes. And then there was another thing that was fresh. Oh, yeah. So I cannot stand FPS missions. And it just bugs me that everything new that happens that is interesting in last year and so you the best way to experience it is to go to a bunker mission, and I just freaking hate it. I don't want to shoot a completely fucked up NPCs that
Yeah.
they can one shot you through the wall, or
Or they're all just standing there
there's a
and they let you
friendly
pick them off.
running up the stairs like
Yeah.
crazy and you kill and you end up in jail and all this
Yeah.
stuff. The bunker experience is awful for me personally. I hate it, and I'm just
It's
disappointed that again to
it
get good
really
stuff you have to go there.
Yeah. Honestly, it is a lot more fun when you go with, like, another couple people.
Yes.
Because I felt the same way, but then I played, randomly. It was a 316 sometime, with, one of my friends and my brother, and we went down and did a bunker mission. And yeah, it was still you know, silly with like the bugged out NPCs and stuff like that, but it was a lot more fun. And you know, there was a lot less kind of risk of you know, ending up shot through a wall, or you know, because obviously if you
I
get shot through a
tried.
wall, then your buddies can pick you up, right? Like, yeah,
Yes,
but
especially if you have Carrack or 890 where you can respawn and whatnot. But nothing
yeah, but
helps if
even
you
with the med
shoot an
guns, but
NPC, man. Like I always
that's
shoot the
true.
wrong
That is
NPC,
true.
and yeah, I don't know. I'm just bad at this. I also go there with like, I feel bad about doing it before I even do it. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm pushing myself to do what I'm not enjoying, and it always ends up the same
Yeah,
way where
yeah.
I end up in the jail.
You know what too? You know what would also make it like make these more palatable to me is if there was more than one way to do the bunker mission. Like what right now the way to do the bunker mission is to go in there, you know, and just basically shoot everyone. There's no stealth option, there's no hack option, there's no diplomat there, you know, like
No,
uh,
yeah,
and I get it. I mean, we're still early on in the development, but you know, like that for me anyways would make it more interesting if there was like other ways to kind of approach these missions. But I mean that's my major complaint with Star Citizen in general right now, to be honest. It's just that everything is kind of stale because
Oh,
you know, like all the bunker missions pretty much play out the same way. All the space missions, you know, play out the same way. Like you know,
the
there needs to
search
be kind of
missions were
more of
new
that.
to me because there's some like there's jumping puzzles and whatnot, but I ended
That's
up
true. Yeah.
jumping into the fucking hull and
Geometry and
being,
getting
yeah.
yeah, getting stuck.
Or
Yes.
the other thing that I don't know how they don't get it is they're timed and it's very tight, and you have to like pick up these 3 containers one by one, carry them to your ship, then you have to go somewhere, land, and then take them out and then sell them one by one, and then one explodes or expires.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
which makes this pressure where instead I want to load these things, and then I want to go and explore this huge derelict and find items there and do a
Yeah.
jumping
Oh,
puzzle and
and
then go
instead
and finish.
you're not able to experience or enjoy any of the
Yes.
derelict because you're just rushing the whole time to get in and out as fast as
So
possible. Yeah.
instead, if we had like a chance of a timed one, that would be okay, and they pay more. Perfect. Then I can see it and I'm like, okay, it's time to rush because I'm gonna make quite a big buck here. Maybe leave a box of something else that I can come back to later and then loot or whatever. But like this, I just don't take them anymore because I just feel pressured all the time. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know what would be another good option is if you like if you found a wreck just passively while you were you know, going
If you
about
could
your business
scan
doing
for
something
Rex,
else.
then yes.
Yeah, scan for a wreck and then you find a mission in there.
Oh
In
yes.
like you pick up like a disc or something and that gives you a mission
Well,
and
that
the
would be
mission
amazing.
is to explore the derelict or whatever, you know, like yeah,
But I don't know if like there's probably some limitations to, I'm sure they're
of
gonna
course
do
there are.
something like that for
Yeah.
sure. But that
Yeah,
would be cool
100%.
if you have like higher chance of scanning these derelicts with Terrapin, for example, or some
yeah.
other ship like that. Then the scanners are much stronger for like ships or whatever,
Yeah.
and you go
This would be a good
to
imagination station
microtech and
topic,
yeah,
but
exactly. It would be
because
great.
that's essentially what we're doing right now. But
True.
like I think yeah, like that's another thing that I would really like to hear more about this year is like is what's going on with missions. You know, like we hear a lot about dynamic events and stuff like that, but we haven't really heard a lot about like where's
It
the mission system at? You know what I
isn't
mean?
that the same
Like
team though that is working now
I
extensively
don't know.
on.
I don't know.
Yeah,
If
I don't know
anything, I
either.
would just assume that any of the mission teams and mission designers have been like long since co-opted into Squadron
Yep,
42, and
Squadron.
that's
Yeah.
basically why we haven't really seen any new work on missions because you
Make
know,
delivery
like
missions good again.
yeah, yeah,
Justice for delivery missions.
yeah,
Because now I
yeah,
want to do them, man. I want to do delivery missions and I want to go and loot every fucking place that I go and pick up the
yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
Whatever.
But yeah,
We got refueling as well. I
oh,
think
yeah, that
it's
was
too
a
early to
long
talk about
tangent.
this one.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh,
Whoops.
It's okay. I mean, isn't that what we're known for? So,
Yeah.
um, refueling is in. I mean, okay. This comes with Quanta as well. Starfarers can now refuel. They can buy fuel from the station, sell it to the players. The fuel prices changed and fuel consumption changed as well. So that's like tied into it. I kind of
Yeah.
feel like we should talk about it like next time when we see how, because it's too early for Quanta to actually do its magic potentially. And I think
Oh,
like,
with like fuel prices? Right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
and like how, if people will use them or not. And I'm happy
I'm
Starfarers are getting something. I love the
me
ship,
too.
so
But I just
yeah.
I said this the last episode we had. Like it's not gonna do anything. Nobody's gonna use them.
Not now. Yeah,
It's gonna be
it's really the
yeah.
pyro thing, I guess. But I mean, there's potential to
Well,
it, but it's not implemented in the way where it would be useful.
exactly. Exactly,
Um,
because what they've done is they've essentially just put out refueling, and they haven't basically had any of the opportunity to make it so that it actually makes sense in game.
yeah,
They've even pretty much admitted that
yeah,
by
they did.
basically saying like, they didn't even have time to update the beacon system, so like you can't even create a beacon to ask for somebody to come
Yeah,
refuel
you'd
you,
have to like
you
invite your
know?
group and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
There's one,
I think like it's one of those steps forward that obviously we need, but
yeah,
eh,
just part of the
I'm
chain.
still just yeah, just holding I'm not holding my breath. I think it's just going to be one of those features that's kind of abandoned for a little while before
Mm.
especially because the updated
I
fuel use personally, I haven't really noticed it being that particularly draconian or punishing.
yeah, but I think it depends on like which ship you're flying and whatnot.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And, or is it loaded? Like probably Caterpillar spends more, fuel or
I
whatever.
hope
I don't
so.
know.
I hope that's the case. That's the way it should be. But like for example, like I flew what is it? It's like 400 and something kilometers from New Babbage to
Mm.
the river.
In
Um I sorry?
in
Oh,
which
in my
ship?
Gladius, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Gladius.
Well,
So
okay.
obviously it's an airplane shaped. It's
Yeah.
got wings and stuff like that. So, that could be affecting it. But I flew on the wrong heading for the first one for about, 600 kilometers, jumped back to New Babbage, and then flew to the river again, and I only burned maybe 25% of my fuel. So,
Oh
you
god.
know,
Okay, that's
so
nothing.
like I went over 1,000 kilometers probably, and you know, and definitely was not hard up for fuel. But
I
yeah,
mean, for as long as we can just respawn our ships, it's gonna be difficult to deal with this, anyways. But yeah, if the fuel is super expensive, people are just going to like claim their ships, and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
Like you end your
But
session, you claim your
ultimately,
Caterpillar and whatever.
yeah. I mean, we've talked about this already. Like, fuel prices are going to have to, see some movement, and have it kind of become
Mhm.
more of a money sink, at some point.
Well, now
Ditto
that
with
they turned
repair.
it into literal gameplay, yes, I
Yeah,
am very
and now
opposed
that
to this,
it's
but it is what it is.
well, I don't know. I
We
mean,
talked
again,
about this.
we did, but like, and we've already seen that like the tweaked methods so far, like it doesn't seem like it's too punishing. I mean, for cruising,
Yeah.
anyways, because I just like I said, I went up to about 14,000 meters and then just basically flew in a straight line too. So like in an ideal shaped ship at an ideal altitude, like so like that's what I hope for the fueling system. It's like if you're just cruising in a straight line, you're not, asking a lot of your ship, you're not low flying, you're not
Yeah,
laying
just
on the
like in real life.
afterburners a lot. Yeah, just in real life, like you can get a lot of kind of mileage out of your fuel tank. And yeah, okay, maybe it costs you, I don't know, 14 grand or something like that to fuel up your fuel tank, but like if you got, I don't know, 2 3 hours of gameplay out of that, like you should be able to make that money and more, you know?
Well, yeah, we'll
Like
see. I mean,
we'll
for
see. We'll
certain
have to see.
things,
I
I
mean, it
wouldn't mind,
is
but yeah, it's too early, I think, and there's so much to like tie into it.
yeah.
Well, here's a funny thing about it. Star Citizen player is in general very lazy when it comes to grouping up. And
Yeah.
let me tell you something. If you have someone to fuel in your Starfarer, you have to spend like 10 minutes to go from the cockpit to the back of the ship, fuel them up, come back to the cockpit. If you're new to Starfarer, you're going to get lost 7 times as well because it's a maze. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's kind of interesting, but I almost feel
I
like you need an NPC there to fuel someone for you.
maybe the whole like being lazy about grouping up thing too. I think in part that's just kind of due to where the game is right now, right? Like it doesn't it doesn't feel like enough of a game to make me want
True.
and frankly, like, the mission rewards and payouts and stuff like that
Yeah, it's shit. Yeah.
they don't
But
incentivize grouping
also,
up. In fact, it's the opposite, but,
imagine I have a Starfare and you are flying with me, and there's a guy,
yeah.
and I'm like, hey, Maso, can you go and tank this guy? And you do. But like before and after, what the fuck do you do with me in that ship? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
there's
that's the
nothing
problem.
to
Right
do.
now, nothing, but,
Like,
like,
okay, I'm gonna
but
have you with me for this one, situation.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But, like, the idea obviously would be that, it would be like, "Hey, you wanna grab a Starfare and go do some fuel scooping," and then maybe do some refueling or whatever, like, that would be, like, the ask, right? Like,
Maybe
ideally, down
refining
the
as
road.
well. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's gonna be
yeah,
a thing.
obviously, the person who's gonna run the boom is probably gonna be doing the refinery stuff as well, like,
Maybe
during
even
the scooping.
engineering, because there
Yeah,
shouldn't be that much in the
like
Starfare, right? So
exactly, like, there should be stuff to do.
yeah,
Right now, obviously, it doesn't make sense because, like, what do? You just, like, sit back there on the boom and, you know,
yeah,
hope that you
exactly.
get to refuel somebody within an hour or so, but this is tangenting, and this is possibly into no, this is definitely into Imagine territory, but, kind of an interesting thought about grouping up and incentivizing it and stuff like that. What if some of the money pits in this game kind of did get to a point where, like, where you almost had to group up because it's like you totaled your ship, you don't have the money to fix it, so, you know, time to go look for a crew slot on somebody else's ship to go, like, make the money to fix your own ship.
Nah, I don't think they're ever gonna do it. I mean, I wish it would be interesting, but
It would be
if
kinda
you want
interesting,
like
but
younger, newer audience having a dead end like that, it's gonna be rough. Plus, you have
I don't
people
know,
who
but,
paid
like, at
so
the
much money for their ships that you can't just let them not have a ship or whatever. It's
I don't know, though, like, at the same time, like,
just triple the
you you
benefits,
you
and you'll
play
have
Valheim,
crews.
for example, like, let's use, like, some other games that are out there, and, you know, you you overextend yourself, and you end up dying and losing all your shit way far away
Yes,
from you, you know what I mean?
but
Like,
who plays Valheim? That's what I'm saying. Boomers like you and me.
tens of millions of people! Are
Yes,
you
tens
kidding
of
me?
millions of boomers. What do you mean? Of course.
No way,
It's
man.
not it's not a popular game amongst younger crowds. It's just not gonna work like that.
How do you know that? We'd have to actually see the demographic breakdown of, like,
I
who
know
bought this game.
demographic for the game that I'm playing and working for, and I can tell you that an average player for our game is
Yes, yeah,
35 years old. Okay.
but, like, sure, but that's a whole different story than Valheim, which is basically Minecraft Plus,
It's not,
Like,
because
what's
it
your
is this element of fuck up and then investing time into nothing. For me and you, that's fine. That challenges me to fucking go again and do it better. You know?
Yeah, but you have people who grew up essentially playing Minecraft,
Yes, but Minecraft
which is
is
the
not
same
like that.
thing.
It's
Oh,
not.
100%
It's
it is. You go out there with all your fully enchanted gear, fall into a lava pit, it's all gone.
yeah, but I don't know. In Minecraft, wait, Minecraft, like that kind of Minecraft is played by Boomer as well. Like
Well,
PewDiePie plays that probably or
not
whatever.
when I was playing it,
I mean, Minecraft has
like
modes and modes and like whatever, like it's different kind of.
sure,
But
sure.
our Zoomer player is kind of Fortnite. Dies, escape, join again, and boom, action. That's
I
what
don't
it
know.
is.
I'm curious. I'm curious because
I'd be
I
down for
don't know
this.
that this yeah, but I don't know that it necessarily would only appeal to like an older kind of more hardcore player crowd. Because like hardcore games I feel like are making a comeback. You have Elden Ring, which is like
Yes, because
hugely popular.
more older folks are playing games again. especially during
Maybe.
COVID and whatnot.
Though anything, I don't know if you've read any of the comments on Elden Ring, but if anything, it seems like the boomer crowd is basically like, "That's too hard. I want this game to be easier."
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know. Anyways, whatever. It was just a thought, but
I
I
personally
kind of
like it.
like the
I
idea
like
of
I
like,
play EVE Online for like I
yeah,
like
yeah,
to risk and get rewarded or fucking lose
yeah,
everything and get pissed. I don't know why,
yeah.
but I like
Or in
getting
this case,
pissed in the
I just
game.
love the idea of like, like I was flying my fucking Mustang and I ripped the wing off it and I can't afford to fix it. So shit, I guess I look for a job. Like
Yeah, with your
I
fleet
like that
of
idea.
$10
But
billion, you're never going to be in that situation. See, you played
yeah,
yourself
except
out
for,
of this gameplay
well,
loop.
that's the thing though. But who are those people who have those fleets of $10 billion looking for? They're looking for crew for those
This
big
okay, so
ships
but
that they
this is
can't fly
different. This is
themselves.
different. This is why I keep saying Star Citizen needs a package without a ship. They need to fucking do it. They just need to do it.
Yeah.
That would be the
Yep.
biggest patch
Maybe.
upgrade for multi-crew. Just sell $20 package without a ship. What are these people going to do? Some of them are going to cry in chat for 200,000 for Aurora, and we'll get it probably. Some will be like, hey, can I join as a gunner? You remember when the turrets became actually good? People were asking to join
Yeah.
in a turret.
Oh, they still do. I still see
Extremely
it in chat
rarely.
a
I
lot. Like,
barely
hey,
see it.
anybody want to do bounty? There's a bunch of different people in the server I was on yesterday saying like, hey,
I mean, it's going to happen
anybody
more
need a
when we
turret
have like,
gunner? I want to run some
yeah,
bounties. But yeah.
when we get server
Yeah.
matching, it's going to be more popular, of course. But like in general,
Yeah.
just if there's more people without ships, look, there's more people to do the job for you.
I see what you're
So yeah.
saying, but like part of me kind of goes like, well, wouldn't that also basically make it that like, everybody is striving for their own ship. So ultimately at some point you're going to run out of new players who are, who have had no
Oh,
other
and then the
option other
reset
than to
happens.
crew. Yeah. Well, I mean,
No,
maybe, but yeah.
you're gonna listen. This allows you cheaper entrance for new players, more backers, more feedback, more testing, but also a zero to hero becomes, oh, I start without ship. So,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It opens up so much. It just I don't know why they don't
It
do it.
might. I could see it backfiring and kind of creating a climate where you're nothing unless you have your own ship kind of a thing. And
Okay,
where everybody who starts as crew decides that they want all
listen.
they want is their ship and they don't want to crew
Add
anymore, like,
$15 to your. Oh, you mean like backfires? No, but you're getting. Come on, look at the numbers. You're getting new players all the time. It's fine.
it's true. I don't know. Anyways, it was just an idea. Tangent.
And then
But
if
yeah.
people get freaked out about it, just add $15 and get yourself an Aurora, and there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, if the price of entry is lower, they're gonna make you more money. That's for sure. Speaking of which, something is not on our notes. Some starter ship prices have changed. Did you know that?
No, actually.
Avenger Titan is
Like I
more
said, I haven't
expensive
really been.
now.
What?
It's $70.
Why?
Listen,
Why would you do that?
well, I don't know, but some things have changed. So that's more expensive. And the Origin 100 series, 100A or whatever the fuck it's called, is now 65. So it's cheaper than Avenger.
Okay. Good. It should be because it's kind of useless. But
100i is useless?
yeah.
It's really good. What are you talking about?
It's a starter ship.
Yeah.
The starter ships, we've already established that the starter ships are not actual starter ships because they can't do a lot of the things that you're supposed to be able to, or you're supposed to do as a starter player.
But 100i has everything. It's actually a good starter ship.
Doesn't it
has
have the
interior.
drop down cargo bay that doesn't work
No,
for running box
no,
missions and
that's
stuff like that?
135 or whatever. The 100 series, you have interior, and then next to your bed, there's like almost like a secret door with 2 SCUs, so you can actually put things inside.
Okay.
It's like inside compartment. No,
So
this ship is really good. It's really good.
Okay. So
And
it's
now with the fuel
functional like an
changes-
Avenger.
Oh yeah, 100%. Not as Avenger. Avenger is a little bit more functional because 6 SCU is 6 SCU, and you can have like
bigger guns.
Yeah, or you can have a vehicle in it as well. Bigger guns, definitely.
Yeah.
but it's useful, and you can do everything that you can do in Avenger, just like maybe a little bit worse. But what it does have is fuel scooping, which they're changing now, right? But this is Origin, so I mean,
Yeah.
interesting choice. The Morph
I
made a video about this, and I was like, "Wait, what? They changed prices?" I had your reaction. I was like, "Why?" And then it was not in any news or anything. They just shadow changed the prices of starter packages. I'm like, "What the hell happened here?"
I I
It's
don't
okay.
know. I
I just
still yeah. That's interesting. It's interesting. I still just think like making the Avenger further out of reach for a new player, from a monetary perspective, who's already potentially not sure if they really want to continue playing this game because the experience in a starter ship is not ideal right now. Like it seems weird to me, but
I just feel like Mustang and Aurora need a fucking overhaul for
yes. Yeah.
that,
They need to
or
be able to do things
just
that you do as a
yeah,
starter player.
exactly,
Like put a
or
box in them.
exactly, yeah, and not like fall through the roof when you have the box in or whatever.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
just give Pisces, like we've said before, just give Pisces as a loaner to everyone with those two ships. Like, how difficult is this? Just do it.
It's not difficult. I mean, we
I
we
know,
went
because
how
there was
many
a
patches
time,
where everybody had a freelancer?
yes, and then before that we had. I don't think it's still a thing, but like if you had a Mustang Alpha, you also had an Aurora as a loaner.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So why wouldn't you have a fucking Pisces, and then people can actually buy
Ah,
Mustang because they like it? They
who
still
knows,
have an
man? We
option.
How many episodes have we done now about the new player experience? Like, uh, yeah, uh,
Shame. You know
yeah,
what? I'll be honest. It's not only Star Citizen. Like a lot of games are not really worried much about new player experience. I don't know why, but it's just not a thing. I don't know. It's really strange.
yeah.
Anyways, with the fuel consumption, food and drinks bars, or actually like hunger and thirst bars, are changed as well.
I have noticed. It's
And they
yeah,
persist now. So when you log out and
yeah,
you log
yeah,
back in again, if you're 60%, you're 60%. So I've stocked my ship with food and drinks, um, in like internal inventory. And you know what? These are the changes that it's still not very aggressive, but you remember when they were starting with like different temperatures on planets and armor and
yeah,
food and drink, and you need to prep yourself. Now it's kind of taking shape, and I have
yeah.
nothing against it. Really,
No,
it's
not me
fine.
either. I think the persistence is the big thing. Like because
Yeah,
before, when every time you log in, you're at like 100% food and drink. I very rarely needed to actually stop and get
extremely
my
rarely.
character something to eat or something to drink. Oh, because it also resets if you crash or if you
Yeah,
die or like yeah.
exactly.
So I just found like I just very rarely ever had to do it unless I was playing a very long time for some reason.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I think that's fine. It's good. And honestly, even with it being more aggressive now, like insofar as if you're sprinting around a city, like you'll lose
more.
30% of your
Yeah,
hydration, pretty quickly.
and
Uh
then if it's hot, for example,
it's
if you're
fine.
in a moon where there's
It
like
just
super
means
hot, you're gonna
it's
lose more.
yeah, it just means basically I have to kind of pay attention to it a little bit more, which actually kind of feels good because like I
But
said before this, I just felt like you never really needed to. So,
with persistent items in ship's inventory, I literally have no issues with this whatsoever. I know I can have stock of like 10 water bottles and 10 snacks in my ship. And if I forget and I see the bar going down, it's okay. I have something in the fridge.
yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's good.
so yeah, I like it. We got two new ships, technically, one ship and one not so ship.
But Expanse is in concept obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah,
What do you think about the name?
I don't care.
It's so
A
stupid,
lot of
man.
people seem to really not like it, but for me I was like, okay, sure, whatever, sure, fine. It
I
does
think
seem
it's
like a little
dumb.
weird. It seems like a weird choice for a refinery ship.
Yes.
'Cause the Expanse to me does seem like something that would be, like, maybe better suited for a exploration
Exploration.
ship,
Exactly. Yeah.
But whatever,
Whatever.
fine.
Yeah.
It literally doesn't matter to me. I was more excited that they actually, announced it because I thought that they had basically given up on the idea of a small refinery ship in lieu of making the Starfarer into a refinery.
Mm.
Um, but so I think it's cool. And after the Q&A, actually, I think it's even,
Oh, I think it's a
I
great
think it's even
addition.
cooler. Yeah,
Mm.
like I liked I like the Q&A went into details on like how it's actually going to work with expandable bags and stuff like that. And basically, if the cargo refactor happens and you can actually have this thing on site with like two prospectors or whatever, I think it'd be really fun, for mining crews to be able to kind of do this. Maybe have one prospector of the refinery ship and like a cargo ship that basically can come in and scoop off the full
Yep.
containers off of the expanse. It's like finally we're starting to see that like interconnected gameplay that actually incentivizes kind of group play.
The entire loop,
Um
basically.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
mining
I think it's
org
cool.
can do something then. Like they can have
Yeah.
an operation. Small scale operation, but still an operation. I like it. I
And
think the
like I
ship
think
looks
price
neat.
wise
Price was a surprise for me.
135 war bond. Yeah, like I was actually kind of surprised to see it that low. And 150 I think non-war bond.
Yep.
I mean it's still concept. So when it hits live it'll probably be a little bit more
Yeah, but
expensive.
there
But
were the
I was
numbers were
seriously looking.
thrown around 500 though, like around the community. And I was
Oh, I
like,
never
ah,
saw
that
that.
sounds a
I never
lot.
saw that.
Well,
It
Mike
does. It's
thought
a
it's gonna be
small
like
ship for
500,
$500.
but I
Isn't the
still expected 200, around 200.
yeah, I thought about 200 would be it was my
And to be honest,
expectation
like
because
I
like the
don't
Vulcan
care.
for example
Yeah, I don't care
is
about the
200.
price itself, but to me, like this sometimes, and it kind of reflects in-game pricing as well. Like we know that it's not like 1-for-1 or whatever ratio, but still, this means it's not going to be extremely expensive ship to get to in-game. Maybe
Yeah.
somewhere the same
Well,
as
and that
Prospector,
is
which like is a
surprising.
million and something, which is great because it
1.5
opens so
mil.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opens
Well,
so
that's the
much
thing that's
gameplay.
kind of that's the thing that's surprising to me. I thought it would be more expensive in game than a prospector. Like I figured kind of more around the $2 million mark, but
Still might
or
be,
two
I don't
million
know,
credit mark. But yeah,
but it's not like
um,
5 mil. It's not going to be 5 mil or something for sure. So
yeah, yeah, and
which is like
I
Retaliator,
had
I think, or something.
yeah, or like caterpillars around there too, isn't it?
4.6, yeah, 4.7. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, this will be between
Um,
1.5 and 2. I that's like an assumption, but I think so.
yeah. I definitely have the thought about like swapping my vulture over to it just because it sounds like it'd be actually useful to have, but I don't think I'm gonna keep my vulture and just get one of them in game. Because my brother's really big into mining. I mean, who knows when we're gonna see it in a game, right? But like,
Yeah.
my brother's pretty big into mining, so I think it would be fun to be able to have that little bit of kind of
Yep.
extra team play going.
You guys can buy it in game as well.
Yeah, that's
Especially you
exactly
can
it.
buy it
I'll
in
just
game.
yeah, yeah. That's what
So
I'll do is I'll just wait for it to go on sale in game.
the other ship that potentially might be good for mining operation is Hull A. Because Hull series, if you think about it, if Vulture is making one
Yeah.
SU boxes, if Expense is making one SU boxes, and you can just hang them on the side of the Hull series.
Ants
Interesting.
doesn't make them into boxes. They basically you just pull one of the those little like side pods on the side of the
Oh, it does the
prospector.
same.
Yeah, it's the same size. So they're all designed to
Hmm.
basically swap interchangeably. So you basically just pull one
Wait,
off
are
of the
you
side
sure?
of
No, 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 no. Wait,
yeah.
wait. I think
No, they
that's
said
what
this
you
in the
like
QA.
get. But then
No, they said this in
that's
the
how you
Q&A.
attach. You attach the prospector box or bag or whatever.
Yes,
But
but
then
they said it
when you
outputs
refine,
into the no, it outputs into the same bags. That was in the Q&A.
what do you do with the bag then? That's strange
What do you
because
mean?
did you see the interior
You
of the
pull the bag
Vulture?
off
Did you see the interior of the Vulture?
of the vulture?
Yeah.
No.
To explain it in a very simple way, in the middle of the interior, there's a space for one SU box with the pipe going into it. So when you are like whatever scraping things, it like fills one SU box, and then you have this physicalized one SU box. And I thought that's what they're going to do with
Yeah.
the expense as well. Of course,
Well,
you
they did
up,
say that
right, but
they
how are you
did
going
say
to
that
sell
that
this?
you can
That's
refine scrap in the expanse. So yeah, you're right. I
but you
don't know.
refine scrap into. I would think you would refine whatever you refine into one
Into a
SU,
box.
because that's like
Yeah.
like that's how we trade, right?
I don't know how it'll work with the scrap then, obviously, but they did say in the Q&A specifically that the um miner bags for the prospector and for the mole, um basically
I
you
saw it
tractor them
has like
over to the
multiple
prospector.
attaches, right? That you can attach these bags to
Yeah, but they
per
said that
side.
the refined metal will go back into one of those collapsible style bags on the
That makes no sense
expanse.
to me, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know if they said it in Q&A. I mean, it's not like that would be the first time that maybe it's not the way they said in Q&A,
It's
but
true. It's true.
because
But at any
God knows
rate,
how far this
like
is,
you
but it would make
still,
more sense.
even if it's coming off in those collapsible bags, like you'd still be able to probably throw them and attach them to the cargo grid on the side of a Hull A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we got Hull A. I thought I'm really gonna like it. I actually really don't like it. There's certain things that I'm really happy about. First of all, they finally figured out how to expand the Hull series, which is huge, like tech wise. The interior, just a MISC interior, I like it. I like Prospector interior more. I was hoping that we are gonna get kind of Prospector look inside. We didn't. I just love the Prospector interior. I think it's amazing. I would live there. Is this one? I don't know. And then when you enter the, did you fly it?
Nah.
Okay, so
I literally do not care about the Hull A at
listen,
all.
but there's things that are really good. That doesn't matter with it. It's not about Hull A. It's just where it's implemented. You know the cockpit of the Prospector. You have all your MFDs, and they're like fucking random screens that are not inside the screen. They just project in front of you or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, in Hull A, it's not like that anymore. They are smaller, and actually they stand inside their frames, like above ones. And it looks very neat until you look up close. You see that, like, I guess it's like they have to work in general on MFDs, is like building block system or whatever. Like it's like chopped through, like it's not really fit properly. The lines are not
okay.
just like in Aurora. You can see
Interesting.
something else behind and whatnot. But at
I've
least
never
it's not like
noticed.
just
I don't pay
random
that close
fucking
attention.
thing. I do. I pay attention to details all the time. That looks really good. Okay, but the big problem, SEM speed 97.
Whoa, that's really
97.
slow. Whoa, that's
And it doesn't
really
have
slow.
like it I kid you not, this thing does not have brakes. Like you can't stop. And then if you like, it's extremely slow. This is like the slowest thing we ever had. I'm really surprised. It has like Drake looking what's the name? Thruster in the back. It's compared to the size of the ship itself, it actually looks huge. And it's a small ship, especially when it's like not expanded, right?
Well, it's weird too because like the whole thing with the hulls, if you actually like look at the way that the concept arts are designed and you listen to and you read the actual like design docs or whatever, they talk about how basically like they're outfitted with incredibly powerful engines to be able to haul around all that weight when they're loaded, right? But when they're unloaded, those things should just howl in a straight line, right?
It's just like trucks in real
And then
life, right? Like
yeah,
if you have a 16 wheeler whatever without any load on it, it flies. It's insane. It had wings and you're
there's
gonna
a
take
lot
off.
of torque.
Yeah. Well, not the case. Now this is the first iteration. Maybe someone just didn't. Maybe they did not. Maybe it always acts like as if it's fully loaded. I don't know. It's really strange though.
I have heard that that's how everything is tuned right now.
Maybe, yeah.
Is to act as if it's fully loaded, but I
And then
don't know for
would
sure.
make sense because this thing quadruples its weight when it's fully loaded potentially, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
The other thing is it turns like an absolute fucking break. It's
Well,
just a
that it should do.
disgusting
It
flying
should.
experience. I know. Literally, Maso, I'm not kidding. Flying a little Drake, what's the name? I always forget.
Harold.
Harold is 10 times better experience than flying Hal A. You get in and you're like, what the hell?
That's funny.
It's just bad.
Well,
And then it takes forever to get out of it, which I really don't like. Again, I'm surprised with the entrance solution because you have a door. You have like the standard prospector door, or
yeah,
let's
the
say
Mystical style
freelancer.
doors. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's hidden behind an airlock door. So there's like three things that have to like happen before you get out.
Mm.
It's just like
I
for
hope.
delivery missions, it's
I
just
hope that
forever. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, ideally, a ship like this wouldn't be used for delivery missions, right? Like, and like
really?
with no,
You
100%
wouldn't
not. I mean,
combine
like,
delivery missions with this ship?
but if you want it, like, that's not what this ship is for. Like, the hulls are literally line haulers. They're
Not
the
A. It can land with the whole thing expanded. This is entry level hauler. Of
yeah, yeah,
course, I'm
yeah.
gonna
But like,
combine it with fucking delivery missions. Come on, you're gonna
well,
be planet side.
then use a freelancer or a
I
cutlass.
don't have a
It's something like this.
freelancer.
Sure, sure. But like the hull A, like the way I see it, anyways, is like the hull A is designed to unload a large cargo ship and basically just be that ferry, the ferry that basically brings things to like smaller landing zones, you know? Like you ideally you shouldn't be having to get in and out of this thing because the whole benefit of that hull A with the exposed cargo is that you just basically fly down, drop the stuff right on the deck and leave, you
I
know? Like
disagree. I think this is a very old way of thinking. You have the same idea for what's the name? The Argo one. Um, what's the new Argo? Man,
the
I'm
raft.
Raft. But they have interiors in which you can live, and they have all the amenities. These ships are not only made to ferry things from, the planetary stations to. Um,
It's
these
literally
are,
its primary advantage. That's its
but
main
this
selling
is
point.
wait, but these are like this concept was made how many years ago?
Well, but
The
ultimately
game it's changed. It's different now.
yeah, but it's ultimately irrelevant anyways because the way that we do cargo now is not the way that cargo is supposed to be done. So ultimately, I don't think we can judge one way or the other whether or not it makes sense. But in my mind,
Sure.
if you want a ship that's multi-purpose that does more than like just haul cargo, like you get a different ship. I mean, literally the whole point of the Hull series is that it's straight cargo. Like everything else is sacrificed for cargo, and cargo capacity and speed of loading and unloading. Like that's literally the whole series design brief. It's to do one thing
Well,
and one
yeah.
thing only.
That's like, I
Um
mean, that's like a truck that you put the container from the ship on, but at the same time, this same truck, when you're not working there, you can use it for something else. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
but
Like they are
you
not
hook it up to a different
like
trailer.
Cargo, you can't do shit with it. Like Argo Cargo is Argo Cargo. You deliver cargo from your ship to the station. That's it.
Sure. To use the
This
truck
thing, I
metaphor
don't
though,
know.
like you can't turn a like a tractor trailer into a dump
Yeah, you
truck.
can
Like you
also
can
you also cannot fly the truck in space.
well, yeah, but you're the one who used the example.
I know, but it's a space game, and I mean, if you give me a ship with very very advanced interior, I think you want me to live in it.
Sure. Go ahead and live in it, but the job that you're going to do with that ship is the job
Why
that
would
the
I
ship is
live?
designed.
Why would I live in the ship if I can sleep in the city? Because I'm just ferrying from the station to the city.
Well, ditto with the prospector. Like you're not going to go into the depths of space with a single prospector.
I don't know.
Like you
We'll see
can,
about that.
but like if you're gonna do something like that, you're gonna use a mole that has more capacity, that makes it more worth your while to be all the way out in the middle of nowhere. Um,
Hopefully, using the mall
I
on
think
your own will
honestly,
be shit experience.
oh yeah, yeah, I hope so too,
So
100%.
if you're alone,
It
I kind of feel like you should still go with the prospector.
maybe, but like like all I'm saying is like the capacity of a prospector is small enough that like you pretty much have to either a have a refinery ship with you, or b be close enough that you can fly back to a refinery, you know, rather quickly because you fill up very quickly. Like it doesn't make sense to be going way, 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 way far out just to fill up a prospector and then come all the way back, before you can go back out there, right? Like that's just not what it's for. If anything, I would
I
say
just
most of
think
these ships have living interiors inside them just so that you can save and log off in the game,
I think
right?
we need more ships without interiors, or like the version of the same ship with extended cargo but no interior, and then you would be like, okay, this version A is
Yeah,
for that, and then the version A is if you
yeah.
want to like long haul, let's say, or whatever the fuck.
Strictly for hauling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea too, because ultimately, like you see that to use the truck example, you see that with different tractors too, right? Like,
Hmm.
uh, if your if your only job is to haul a container from the shipyard to like the rail depot or whatever, you're not going to use a full length highway chassis with the sleeper on the back and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
going to use,
exactly.
like a light, single cab tractor to do that kind of a job. So yeah, I agree. Like
Or
I
just a
would like to see kind
flatbed,
of more
right, or
variety.
whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're
sure.
talking about the okay, okay, I see, I see, I
The
see.
actual truck itself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, you know,
We'll see. I mean,
or you might
I
have one that sacrifices like I've seen tractors that sacrifice the sleeper section for a crane instead,
exactly, that's what I'm
so
saying.
that
I don't think they're shy about of making multiple models of the same hull. They did it before, and I only think they will expand on this later as well. But
yeah.
I don't know, like some, yeah. It's just like the language, the design language that speaks to me is like if my truck has a beautiful bed behind, then maybe I'm buying a truck that I can potentially long haul in rather than, you know what I mean? Like it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
But I don't I guess I don't just to kind of reiterate, I don't have a problem with the Hull series being only, for the most part cargo focused because that's always been the thing is like you trade off literally everything for maximum cargo hauling capacity,
I know, but
you
like
know?
you were doing Caterpillar runs before and you will combine them with delivery missions. I remember we talked about this.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
And
Actually not typically
therefore,
with a Caterpillar, with a freelancer max,
sure. But
you
what
know.
I'm saying, like this experience of doing that with this little ship, which is starter trading ship, is not that good,
Yeah, sure. But like to
unfortunately.
again, like one of the reasons I didn't typically combine deliveries with cargo hauling in the Caterpillar is because it was more inconvenient. The ship moved slower. It's harder to do
Mm.
multiple stops. Like the reason
You're
I
also
chose to
wasting
do
money if you're stopping,
yes,
kind of.
sure, and the reason I
But with
chose to do that
60
with the
SEU,
yeah, with the freelancer max instead with the 100 SCUs because one, it actually is, like you're making those stops. It just made more sense, right? So that's why I
mm,
chose the max over the Caterpillar. And I could see that basically being the same thing with the Hull. If you want to do hybrid cargo and deliveries, well, the Hull isn't the best choice. You can do it, but it would be better to do it
I
in
would
something like a Nomad
listen.
or a Cutlass or.
Sure, yeah, but if you have this, but I would say like if you're a hull enjoyer, like everything above A, I agree with you 100%. It's just ridiculous. You're just
Yeah,
wasting time
yeah.
because you can make so much. But if you're flying A, it just makes sense because you make as much money in the
I'm
delivery
not
mission
gonna
or more than.
yeah. I hear you for sure. And it like honestly, I kind of this is one of the reasons I don't really care and I don't really know anything about the Hall A. Like I haven't watched any videos because I kind of feel like it doesn't really fit at all, to be honest.
Mm,
Like even if you're using it to unload larger ships, why wouldn't you use a Hull B? The hull B can still land loaded if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, maybe,
Um,
yeah.
and it has like
Well,
double
because you don't
the
have money,
cargo
like you
capacity.
start with something. I mean, it feels that role
I
of like
guess.
I'm starting
Yeah.
with this ship, right? And I want to be a
Yeah.
trucker, and this is my starting point. So it's okay. It has space, but it's not like the most elegant solution. But also, it's the first iteration of HAL series, so we'll see if they like fiddle with it or whatnot. It actually came with
Yeah.
more space, with more cargo than I thought it would be, but there's gonna be like 40 something, which was silly.
Oh,
But
oh,
it's like
I thought it was
60,
70.
almost 70, like 68, I think, or I don't know
Mm.
off the top. But I did not load it even once. I just
Yeah.
flew in it like as if I would be in an Avenger or whatever.
See, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like even I guess you're right about like price, and I'm not really factoring that in, but like for 60 SCU, 68 SCU, you could have a freelancer, and a
Yeah, but
freelancer is just
freelancer is double the
much
price.
more capable overall. Is it? How much is
Yeah,
the
yeah. Freelancer
LA?
is Hale is 70, 80, something like that. Freelancer is over
Yeah, okay.
100, like 110 or something, 110.
100, yeah, 110, I think, 120,
And then
something like
in
that.
game, it's gonna be even bigger gap, I think.
I guess the Hull A is probably be dirt cheap
Yeah.
to buy, like Avenger level price or something like that.
I think even less.
And I guess
I
if you're
expect it to be
comparing
like
it like that,
600,000, 700,000.
yeah, yeah, because like at that point, like you're talking about an Avenger which has 6 SCU or a Hull A which has 68.
Yeah,
That's a big jump. Yeah.
it is. It is. Um. Okay, I'm slowing down a little bit. I'm trying to see. There's some desync on the video. I'm thinking about maybe my rig is actually. Yeah, I don't know. We're doing this first time on my laptop remotely, and while I'm in a fancy studio, I'm still recording this on my own laptop. So if there's
I
any
think it's
issues,
the virtual webcams. The virtual webcams like
but
automatically
mine is
kind
not
of.
virtual, and even mine had the issue. Because
Oh
the
yeah.
one that is
Okay.
being in, yeah, on my end is not virtual. It's fine. I'm just noticing it's the first time we're doing it. Also, guys, if you have any feedback about the sound or visuals or whatever, just tell us. Just getting used to the new environment. I'm just happy we can do this again. I really missed it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last thing I'm gonna say about HAL A is that there's something wrong with the amount of quantum fuel. It has 10,000 quantum fuel units, which is more than like 890 jump or whatever. Just saying. And the slowest jump drive ever. So like to cross the entire system, it takes like 300, but you have 10,000. So you will never have to call for a Starfarer. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I'm sure it's going to be
probably
fixed.
going to change.
Yeah.
But
And
at
it's
that
like
point, if
HAL
you have
E.
that, man, like run an XL1 or one of those like, or what
Yeah.
is it? One of the
You can do
super
Rush
fast
or
size
or
one drives.
XL1.
Yeah,
Yeah, XL0. I
yeah.
think it's XL0, whatever. I don't know. But yeah.
Literally
It's probably going to
matters
change.
not at all. Yeah, just
Dude,
the
I don't know if
fastest thing possible.
a little hack thing, kind of. I don't know if they fixed it, but there was a time where you could fit size 2 jump drive into a Mustang,
Yeah,
but
I
then
remember
it
that.
wouldn't
Yeah,
make sense because Mustang has like the standard, like less around 500 units, but then Mustang Beta is an Explorer, so it has like almost 900, I
yeah,
think. And if you have
yeah.
like crossfield in Mustang Beta, it was so good to like zoom around. You have
hmm
this small ship that actually functions. Yeah.
I
I don't know if
actually,
that can still work.
I used to use the Defender for that because I have a Defender loaner
Oh,
for my
yeah.
BMM, and it had a huge quantum tank. So I would just basically but only a size one drive. But you just slap basically the fastest size one drive on it because you got the fuel, like, and it was great for crossing system with.
I remember using Beta for bounty hunting, like player bounty hunting, because back then
You could
that was good
outrun them.
enough for, yeah. But listen, I have size 1 ship. It's very maneuverable with 4 guns, 2 shields. I have crossfield in it, so I can like fucking outrun anyone. It was good.
That's
And
funny.
back then, like it didn't, like you could make it so. I don't know if you remember, like you take one beefy shield and one that has really fast regen.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah.
Your guns are gimbaled on Mustang, and on beta you can actually attach 2 more guns, and you can missiles, and Jesus, it was good. And then you show up with Mustang beta, and someone is like,
Yeah. Yeah. Just way overconfident. That's
it's like
funny.
jumping people with the Aurora, which is actually a pretty good fighter as well. But yeah,
Can be,
shouldn't
yeah,
be
for
maybe,
sure.
but yeah. Okay, so I think we're done with all the news and stuff that is already in the game, and there's a couple more things before we move on. So house stripping is introduced and shown. It's not in the game yet, but we expect it to happen soon. They changed the wording to house stripping. This is actually part of salvage. For those of us who come from EVE Online, salvage and house stripping is the same thing. I always imagined it like that. But for some other people, salvaging is basically
Pulling
taking
the
components from the
components and doing
ships.
all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
So they changed this into house stripping, and they finally showed it. And I don't know how I feel about it. Like, first things first, it looks great. Like, visually, for the first iteration, thumbs up. The fact that you can use it with your multi-tool, what are your thoughts about this?
Okay, well, I know what your thoughts are, and I'm just basically gonna head you right off and say they've said multiple times, first of all, that there's gonna be varied speeds of hull stripping. So the what they were showing looked really fast with the multi-tool,
Mm,
and they specifically said that was sped up. Like
okay.
like the multi-tool version is not going to be able to just entirely strip a hull off of a ship in 0 seconds flat.
So what you're
Because
saying is, on day one, if I go to Tram and Myers, where people buy stuff and there's no armistice, if I sit there and wait for a hauler, I will not have enough time to draw a penis on it.
oh, you definitely will be able to do that, but you won't be able to strip the entire hull.
Not entire hull. I'm just gonna scrap the wings or something. You know?
Yeah.
Like, here's the problem. So I literally see this as maybe the most powerful weapon in the game.
Well, it might be at first. I said this off air. Like when the mining laser first came out on the prospector, it was the deadliest weapon in the game.
Yeah, but this you can hold in your multi-tool. It's gonna be super cheap. You're gonna go
Yeah.
and like, I'm gonna erase your ship.
You're
Yeah,
not going to be able to erase somebody's ship with it. Not, I mean, maybe over the course of, I don't know, a period of time, but I don't think it's going to be a fast thing. I still think
okay,
it's
so I
going to
have
be
to shoot them
hilarious.
first, and then while they come back for their ship and their body, there's only
Yeah.
a skeleton of a
No.
ship.
See, you're not you need to think about this in a group environment. So really what you do is you have a group of people waiting at Trappin Myers.
Oh, kind
And
of ugly.
somebody goes in and they come out and
Man.
5 people have just stripped their hull down to the
It's
down to the
like,
girders.
imagine you go in, you're like buying things, you go out and like, where's my ship? And it's silent, by the way, because there's no explosions or anything. You just like erase everything.
Just rip their hull right off. Yeah.
I'm really surprised
gonna
people are
be
not talking about this, man. Like,
It's gonna be so fun to troll people with it for sure.
by the
And
way,
and here's the other thing. Um, they have they so I think that you're gonna be able to use multi tools in 318
armistice.
in armistice zones
Yeah.
because you're gonna need to be able to load cargo via a tractor beam. Um, and yeah, I given how they don't seem to really think about what players are going to do to troll other players with their new tools. See when they released the medical gun and everybody was running around overdosing people in landing zones.
The best patch, by
I
the way.
You're gonna be able to hull
Oh my
strip
god.
in armistice zones, I think. So I think there's gonna yeah, I think there's
My
gonna
jaw
be
hurts.
a lot of trolling trolling opportunities
This is the
when hull
patch I'm gonna
stripping
play a
comes out.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I
oh,
like
where's your landing gear?
yeah.
Oh no.
Carve
Wait,
people's wings off in the
I've heard
hangar
some
before they
noise. Wait, I can't hear.
Oh, I heard a uh,
Oh no.
I can I can still hear
I
you
mean, the
okay.
audio works. I can see you talking, but I can't hear anything. Maybe, wait.
Huh.
Oh my god, I see.
Your headphones die?
Okay. Someone is calling me on WhatsApp on my phone, and my stupid
Oh.
headset is connected to both my
Oh,
phone,
okay.
and she keeps calling. Wait. No. Just let me disconnect. I did not even know it's
Technical
connected.
technical difficulties.
Okay, there we go.
I
Sorry
thought
about
your
that.
headphones died or something.
No, but I know I've charged them and everything. Was like, wait, what? They last like 40 hours or so. So
Oh.
okay, sorry about that. But yeah, I can't wait for this patch.
If it does end up being something that's quite fun to troll with, it would be super fun to put a like a a salvage crew together and just wait for unsuspecting haulers and yeah, just like
the,
ambush the ship and do
just
as
think
much
about like
damage as possible before they come out.
the YouTube videos, like CAG. If you ever listen to us or anyone else who comes up with these ideas, just release it for one patch like this. One mini
Yeah.
patch, okay? One mini patch. And fix it in
Uh,
3.18.1 or whatever the fuck, you know? Just let
I
us have
like
some
what you
fun.
were saying. You were saying this off air too. Like, it would be really fun to just wait in the hangars in landing zones and wait for a ship to spawn, and then just strip as much of the hull off as possible before they get down.
You make a org named Hull Strippers, and like lemmings, you see someone when you run down to there and you just delete everything.
I
Oh,
think you could probably just sit in a hangar and wait for people to spawn a ship.
you could, yeah. Or have someone tell you, like, hey, these guys.
Oh, somebody's spawning. Oh, because you can see what hangar it's in
Yes.
now over their shoulder. Oh, that's something we didn't mention.
Speaking
There's
of,
new
I was
ASOP
just about to
terminals.
say, yes, the
Yeah,
new ASOP terminals are great and absolutely horrible. What's your take?
mostly great, I think.
Yeah,
Like
but they're voiced now.
everything. They're what?
They're voiced. So
Oh
there's a
yes,
lady
yeah.
telling you what's happening.
I think that's good because it's I don't know, like how many times with the old ASOP's terminals did you end up like clicking a button and not knowing if it actually registered? Like lots of
The
times for
problem
me. Like
is that
especially if
I can hear where your ship is spawned and all that stuff. And then in busy
oh,
areas, you're
but
going to hear so many of these things.
it doesn't say what hangar it's in. It
No,
just
no, but it's
says
going to be
you
annoying. Like, there's like 5 people getting their ships. It's going to be like bunch of fucking noise. And I don't know.
maybe. I haven't Wait, does it play for people around you?
I would think so because you can see it. It looks great and it works so much better. I'm going to say
Yeah,
that.
it's so much snappier and stuff like that too, I've
Mm.
noticed. Like it's not like the old one you'd like click a button to claim and it would be like, wait, 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 wait.
Yeah.
Okay, it did acknowledge the claim, you know. But this one's much snappier. But I haven't noticed any like sound from other people's when I've been around. Um but you
I didn't have a
absolutely
chance,
could if
but
you're looking over somebody's shoulder, you could see what hangar they just spawned a ship in.
you can probably interact with it as well. Just like when they're in the first
You
one, just
can't
like start clicking on their
yeah,
spawn all the ships they
I
have.
you can't do that.
You can't.
When you no, I because I noticed this. Like I went to use a terminal that somebody had already used, and the only part of it that I was able to interact with was the close
Okay.
button.
There was a time
Um,
where I could fly above someone and through their cockpit fiddle with their MFDs. I don't know if you know that, but you could do that.
no, I didn't.
Oh,
No. Huh.
damn. Yeah, we were doing that on the
That's
stream as
funny.
well. It was funny. They just turn down the shields and what the fuck?
Just turn the ship off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again. Or they just like starts crawling around their MFDs and you see their head like turning, like what the hell is going on here? But they
Yeah.
turned it off. They turned it off. Oh,
Oh,
that
that's
was
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
Because if you hold F
No,
and zoom in, and then you can like actually get to an actual MFD, you can actually do things. It's silly.
that's
They
hilarious. I
changed it
didn't
though.
know that. Oh my god, how is that not more popular that people would do that?
I don't know. I was fiddling with it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was funny. Most of the people I know,
totally
like if I
funny.
had them in group and they're like flying my caterpillar, I would like turn it off or stuff like that. Hello. But then also, if I'm near someone like in PO and they're just AFK, then I would I would zoom in and just change things. It's
Yeah,
funny.
that's awesome. Change their weapon groupings, turn their weapons
Yeah,
off.
everything. Turn off their missiles, for example.
That's funny. Oh, I had no idea you could do that.
The
Huh.
alpha shenanigans.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing is Jared moved to London. I thought this is going to have more impact on like SCL IC rotation, but actually he's already recording ICs.
He did say in the ISC episode there that that it was probably going to be a slightly less polished ISC season.
I
Is
mean,
fine with
it's
that.
not
I'm fine
like
with
their
whatever.
sound is flawless even in the best conditions. So
ISC is usually pretty well done. SCL is the one that's
yeah,
usually rough.
true.
But
But I
yeah,
mean, kudos to Jared, like moving and already doing the production on that. He did have like 2 weeks hiatus, but
totally.
what? That's nothing, man. Like seriously, good job,
Yeah,
man.
especially when you're like literally picking up your life and moving to a
Yeah,
different continent.
and I think for him,
That's
it's like such a big move. I don't know why, but I think Jared is a very emotional person, and these things probably hit him hard. But he's dealing with it like a
probably.
champ. And thank you, Jared, for what
Yeah.
you're doing. Even though you piss me off sometimes, it's fine.
Speaking of ISC, actually, we did actually have an ISC this week,
Yes.
which had some stuff in it. Uh, I, my overall impression of it was like, it was cool, but I just don't think we're gonna see any of the stuff that's in it for a long time. And the stuff that we will see is, I don't know, it's not nothing game changing. It's mostly just kind of like immersion focused. So,
I just felt like this IC again was SCL IC. I just don't know. Like yeah, these
yeah,
are these are things that get into the game. So let's just talk about it a little bit. Like there was wear and tear on armor, and the guy who
yeah,
was presenting it was very very excited about it. But let's be honest, like I mean, obviously whatever comes out of CAG Bakery is very tasty and looks great. They're very talented artists, and I'm not trying to take that
yeah.
away. But for a player, you look at this and like, okay, there's gonna be mud on my armor. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it looks
Well,
good.
they did
Thank you.
say that they said that eventually it's going to, affect the way NPCs react to you and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Like if you walk into a fancy restaurant covered in mud, like obviously they're going to tell you to please go away.
yeah.
But that's who knows how many years down the road. So
And
it is
then
neat though. Like I did like seeing how like more than just wear and tear, like they showed, you know, if you were in a smoky environment, like the armor and your weapons would kind of like show soot and
yeah,
things like that, or like
condensation, mud, everything.
mud,
Yeah.
yeah, like slime and like that's
No,
cool,
it's great. It's
you know.
great. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's not like mind blowing right now because
No,
just like
exactly.
the rest of it, like they showed that there's the corpse of an NPC and how or a player, whatever, and three NPCs run to it and they like react to it. They look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's just like one of those things that feel normal for a game. At the same
Yes,
time,
totally.
even though they're implementing this, God no, like it's gonna be so janky and stupid because just the way the servers are, and
Yeah,
our
yeah.
NPCs are just
I
like really really bad. So whatever, great,
I
but we're not
I
gonna
was
feel
actually
it.
gonna. Yeah, well, and that and like I was, like when they were showing the NPC FPS behavior, I was at work and like it looks neat, but again, like you said, it's like kind of normal these days, like there's a lot of other games out there that do kind of
You
similar
just
stuff.
expect it,
So
right? I mean, it's
yeah,
great for them that they
it's
did it, right? And they're working on it because you
yes,
need it
yeah.
in the game. But at the same time, it's not like, oh, wow. Eh,
Yeah, exactly. It's
good.
like you
Okay.
see behavior like this playing pretty much any modern shooter,
Yeah.
with AI in it
Well,
these
much better
days.
behavior, though, and more of it. But I
Yeah,
mean, it's a
yeah.
start in a good direction, although.
It is, yeah. It's just like again, it's something with this whole episode, like I was saying, where I feel like everything that we see here is, something that'll be cool in a couple years. Um, the one thing that made me, like, actually go, "Ugh, like, I wanna see this sooner rather than later," is where they were looking at the different flight paths for
Mm,
NPCs. So, like, seeing, NPCs being able to, like, fly down to planets and land, and take off again. Man, like,
I have to
I
disappoint you. I mean, it's very good that they're doing it again, and I agree. It looks really good because the NPCs will recognize terrain, and then how
but
busy
then
it
yeah,
is and all that. They cannot implement this in the game because they will be
no,
crashing
no.
into fucking terrain and
100%. This is
whatnot.
a Squadron
They will,
42 thing.
yeah.
100%. Like this tech they're developing this for Squadron 42 because they need this for Squadron
Mhm.
42. We're not going to see it this year for sure. Um
So in that
uh
manner, even though it's really fucking cool, especially for an open world MMO,
yeah.
just doesn't mean much to me because God knows, like
I know,
years
right?
in
But
future,
it's
right?
like I know, but it's like but that even just that, like having being able to fly around, even if we just had 50-player servers, if there was NPCs that
I
were
would
flying
be
around,
so much more
landing on
alive.
planet, it would feel so much like exactly that. It would just feel more alive. It'd feel like there's
Yeah,
more going on in the universe, right? Like or in the Stanton system in this case.
yeah,
But yeah, it's wake me up when Squadron 42 is out.
yeah.
uh,
Um, and then they showed the pyro space kind of. I don't even know how to explain that. Like there are some derelict stations and whatnot that look like
yeah,
exploration gameplay in a way.
and rocks and like it I think that one is really cool like because like there was so much like it looked like a level that would be fun to play in even even with no new gameplay, like just it was just an interesting space to have to navigate around. And if they did have some missions that happened in this particular environment, I think it would be a really fun map to play
Well,
in,
you need
basically.
something
Like
to
that's
drive people towards these points of interest. That's the
yeah,
problem
yeah,
because it's almost impossible to find stuff around such a vast space. I'll
yeah.
be a, a dickhead here.
It looked big, but it didn't look huge, right? Like it still looked like a, something that you could play in without having to quantum drive all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Okay.
it
Sorry,
looks
go.
great.
Do your
I,
thing.
I really love what I see. The problem is, I also really loved what I saw on the video about Area 18 that never physicalized in the game.
Mm.
And all these videos about future locations, I just don't trust any of this until I see it. I
Yes,
just can't. I
obviously.
just
I'm
cannot.
there with you as well.
Because
But because
why?
like I mean, well, frankly, like Pyro, we're not going to see that. I still don't think we're seeing Pyro this year. I think that they thought that they were going to, and then they have since backpedaled really hard
You mean they thought they were going to
on
at
this.
the end of the last year? Because that's when it was
Yeah,
announced.
and then the whole you remember how like for the first couple episodes this year, it was all like we're on the road to Pyro this year, and then
And
then
then Jerry
after a
comes and
couple
says,
episodes,
but
they
maybe
backpedaled
not.
like, "Oh, yes, no, but it's the road to Pyro. It doesn't mean we're getting
Yeah.
to Pyro."
It
Yeah,
doesn't
so
mean
I
we're
still
not.
don't
And
think
like, whatever,
yeah,
guys, just shut up.
yeah,
Like,
whatever. Just shut up about
don't say
Pyro.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But
100%. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, right? Like when I have in the notes here that I think it is genuinely cool, but obviously
oh,
we're
it
not
looks
getting
great.
that until we get Pyro anyways. So like that's,
Let's just get
at
it
least I
because
would say a year.
that Area 18, it will never be the way they showed it. It's just not what it is. And
I can't remember what you're referring to
it's the
with
one
that.
where Chris Roberts is talking about Area 18 and you're like walking out the door and there's like ships parked in like downtown,
Oh
and
yeah.
then they take off, and it was like
Oh,
one of
that's
those
super old.
presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks great,
That
man. I was like,
yeah,
holy shit, I want to play this.
that that was when they first announced our Corp in Area 18. That was like what,
And then it came out
2016,
completely fucking different. Like
2015?
it has nothing to
Yeah,
do with it except for this color scheme.
totally. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'll tell you more. Like I was really excited about Iron Halo gates. I love Iron Halo. If I ever mine,
yeah.
I mine there. And I was really looking forward to these gates. And I don't even know if they exist. Like I just don't know if this is going to be a thing still or not. It's just like there's so many things that they show and they don't really
And then they
materialize in the
shelve
game.
them because
Yeah,
they keep pulling resources into the black hole that is Squadron 42.
which I
They're
couldn't
level
give a shit about.
designers. They're, yeah,
But some of these, I almost feel like some of these are concept art, and then they turn this concept art into like quasi gameplay, but then they make it differently when it's actually in the engine or whatever. I don't know.
yeah. I think part of
I might be wrong.
with respect to the Air and Halo though, like if anything, I would say that the thing that's probably holding that up is the fact that they are basically capped for their entity limit, until they get big tech in to kind of be able to offload
Well,
stuff like that. So
remove Jericho and add Iron Halo.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, something like
you
that.
did that before, so
Sure. But anyways, the pyrospace environments or whatever, yeah. I mean, obviously
awesome,
we're not
man.
going to see that. We're not going to see that for a while. But I like what I'm seeing, kind of like with that kind of a level design, because it, like if there's missions that are implemented in that environment, it's genuinely like it looks really fun to play around in. There's stuff to fly behind, to hide behind, to like
Yeah,
there
it
could
has
be a lot of
atmosphere,
fun
and
gameplay in those.
yeah.
Yeah.
It has a very recognizable atmosphere. It looks like it has potential gameplay loops tied to it. It also
Yeah, like if you
allows
could
for
do
like sandboxy
stealth
stuff.
missions, like ambushes there, or like
Mm.
if you had like scanning missions there where you're like trying to scan for things that were hidden in that environment, or yeah, there's tons of cool stuff they can do with that. I fully will acknowledge that, that chances are good, at least from what we've seen historically, that they'll just put the environment out and do nothing with it because that's, how they do, but
Yeah.
it still looked cool. And then at the end, there was a sneak peek, and I think they were showing Ruin Station there.
Yeah, maybe.
That's my guess. When they're like, "Oh, what is this?" or whatever. I think that's their them working on Ruin Station, the main station of the of Pyro.
They also showed the behavior of an NPC with that, like using the getting a like can of soda or whatever, and then being pissed off about it and trying to
Oh yeah,
squeeze a
right.
hand in and
Jared,
like take it.
Jared voicing it.
I was not very entertained by that, I have to say. I was like, okay, dude, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It's just Jared being goofy. I
Trying
thought it
to
was
be
funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's Jared to me. Like Jared's just hamming it up, and I thought that was, I don't know. It just
Dude,
felt very
like,
Jared, and
okay,
that's
I
why I
know
was like, okay, that's funny.
this is a standard like game developer, armchair developer take. But like, I don't mind Jared being goofy. That's fine. That's Jared. But like, they made a whole fucking loop about this NPC doing all the shit. And like, go do something else. Like this. What the fuck is this, man? Who cares? He's banging and like trying to steal, and then his hand goes through the fucking machine.
Yeah, I
in
saw
that
that.
demo,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and then they're like, and then he goes and throws it into a bin, which clears the server, and I'm like, what if he misses the bin? He's just gonna fucking he's gonna fuck up the servers even more. Like, don't do this. Not yet, please.
Well, yeah, definitely not yet. I mean, let's be realistic here. When are we going to see AI behavior like that actually in game?
Dude, can you imagine? Like, it's literally like PTSD. Like, I imagine an army of these NPCs grabbing the can, because there's like any number of these cans inside, because it's not physical, and they're like throwing it next to the can, to the fucking bucket.
Yeah.
And then you go into Nickel 1, and you open the elevator door. It's like
No, your game just crashes because of all
Of
the
course, yeah.
entities in there that haven't
We
that haven't
cannot
been
have Iron Halo.
called out.
Why? Because there's 10,000 cans in Mikkel 1. We have to delete this station from the
Because
game
the
now.
NPCs keep missing the garbage can.
Please no.
Yeah. Oh, I guess they did show with the AI pathing as well. They kind of showed like work that they're doing to make it so that NPCs don't just like clip through each other.
Yeah.
That was kind of neat. But again, I mean, like any
Normal
AI
thing.
work you see,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's like kind of down the road
But
whenever
of
we
course,
actually see
because
that.
server tick or whatever is screwing up with NPC. I think it's server tick, but maybe it's something else. I'm not the developer. Well,
I'm
not
pretty
that
sure it's
kind
a
of
server tick
developer.
rate. I mean, that's what we've been hearing anyways
Yeah,
all the time is yeah.
which is understandable. I'm not like trying to pick on this, but honestly, like you can hardly get excited about these things when you know that it will not impact the game until whatever is
Who knows
blocking it
when?
is delivered, and that's a
Until
big one.
Squadron 42 is out.
I'm just afraid that Squadron 42 comes out and nothing happened after it for like a year with Star Citizen.
Oh,
You know what I
bud.
mean? Like,
That'll be rough. I mean, it might be the case, but that's
wouldn't be the
kind of what
first
I
rough
mean, right?
thing,
Like,
you know?
yeah.
Okay. We usually have SCL after this, but I mean,
There were a few
honestly,
SCLs, but I kind of forgot about them. They were a long time ago. Like the uh
there was
not the
one with
player
Todd
experience
Pappy.
team, the actor feature team had some nuggets in it. And yeah, there was one with Todd Pappy that had some nuggets in it as well, but we didn't write any notes down and it's been a long time, so just go watch them.
Honestly, the best SCL in the last 2 months was the fake Jared artist one with
I
Jeremiah
didn't watch
Lee
that one
as a
because I never
host.
watched those ones. But
Yeah,
yeah.
but Jay Lee was the host of that one, which was funny.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I did hear
then,
that.
spoiler alert, Jared was just pretending to use Photoshop or whatever the fuck, and there was a third person who was drawing everything, and then in the end,
Hmm.
yeah, it was very on purpose, cheesy humor
Okay.
that I don't know.
Okay.
It's fine.
Sure. I didn't watch it. And then this most recent SCL that we got was another live game dev one, so I didn't watch that either because
Yeah,
I'm not really interested.
great for
The
those
ones that
who
I'm
are
more
interested.
interested in for anybody who's new here and hasn't heard me say it a million times already are the ones where we had like Todd Pappy and the like actor feature team because that's where you actually get to kind of hear more about like what their plans are about the actual game.
I used to wait for Todd Pappy ones, and I don't care about him anymore because everything he says never happens, and I don't care
Well,
until things happen.
that's basically where I am with Star Citizen in general too. It's like
Yeah,
okay, sure, but when?
exactly. And if.
Yeah.
All right. So no SCL, but we do have a topic. I wonder if this will be a very short one.
I don't
Okay.
think there's stuff to talk about here, but if
Sure.
you're pressed for time, I know you're at work right now,
No,
so
I'm
like,
not.
if you want to go home, just
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. No, no,
tell
no.
me and we can just
I'm just
we'll
curious
just
if
end
this
the
will.
video. We'll end the video like really awkwardly, like mid sentence. It'll just cut off and then
The reason
publish it.
Masa is saying this is because it's Sunday evening and I am in the office recording this, and tomorrow morning I need to come back here to work, and I need to commute back home as well. Although I can walk back home as well. It's not that big of a deal. But that's not it. I'm actually curious about if this will be a long topic or not. But the reason I suggested this one is because of my play sessions today and a day ago, where I didn't play Star Citizen in a while. And then I was kind of, for the last 15 days, I was waiting for the patch to land. And then it did. Then I was like, okay, let's go and gather things and sell and whatnot. And then after 2 hours of preparing everything, and we did not say that in the news. The space stations and the actual landing zones are not, inventory is not connected anymore. So I don't know why they changed that now. It makes no sense to me.
It's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. So I got my ship. I bought armor and skins for the ship in the store because I have store credit, and I change this every now and then to just refresh my gameplay. And then my armor was in the inventory. The skin still is not there. So whatever, inconsistency. Then I packed my hull A, and I flew to Michael 1. Actually, I flew to Tressler just to figure out that these things are not connected. So that was like 20 minutes. Then I had to fly back to New Babbage, request landing that is borked. It doesn't really work.
Oh yeah, that's broken. That's another thing we forgot to talk about.
But I figured out it just doesn't show you which landing is yours. So I figured out it was like a hangar 1, whatever. I flew in. And then I had to, one by one, every item put into my ship, then fly to Mikkel 1, and then one by one, put everything into the station inventory. And then,
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready to go and do the mission. But then a friend of mine got stuck in his hull A, and I flew across the world to save him, failed at it, and I was like, okay, I'm done. It's been like 2.5 hours, and I literally do not do anything. And before that, I had one game session, so I lied. I actually played in expectations for the patch to come a few days ago, and I did one delivery mission for 8,000. And it was like an hour. It was an hour. And I was like, I felt like I just could have played the game for an hour and have fun instead of doing this for an hour and now I'm going to go sleep. I just felt like it takes half of my time in certain preparations and walking around, and maybe, like it feels like there's like 50-60% of the time that you're not doing any gameplay in Star Citizen because of all the hoops that you have to go through to get to the gameplay. Part of this obviously is because we're in alpha and the game is not working as intended. So if I could have everything prepared on my ship and I log into my ship and okay, I can continue where I stopped yesterday, it's a different story. But right now, this is killing me, man. Like now that I'm working and I don't have endless amounts of time to play Star Citizen, it's honestly unplayable, and I feel bad about it.
Well, I don't know. So yes, there's there's becoming increasingly more prep time, and no real reward for that prep time. But I don't really know how to really like iterate this basically besides that like I think right now it sucks, but I can see where they're going with it. Like I don't know. Okay, first of all, I will say that like I still find that there's like once your overall prep like from a new patch is done and over with, like there is stuff you can do for like shorter gameplay sessions. Like um my go-to is basically, I feel like playing Star Citizen for a bit, I'll just go hop in a C2 and do like a cargo run or two. And I find like I can usually get that done within an hour and a half or something. Ditto with mining. Like sometimes I'll just like hop on, run to a prospector, just go zap a couple rocks and then fly back and do that. Ditto with bounty hunting, honestly, too. Like once your ships are set up and configured, like jumping into a ship and going out to do a couple bounties only takes 20-30 minutes.
I have
Um,
counterpoint to all of these, by the way, but I'm gonna let you finish.
well, I'm just saying basically like there is stuff in Star Citizen right now that I think is, stuff you can do in under an hour. But I think okay, you can counterpoint that, but just know that this isn't like my main point of like everything is
Okay,
fine.
now I'll be quick.
It's kind of, it's just kind of like it feels like just that's where we are right now in Star Citizen. But I have more to go on, but yeah, like yeah.
Okay, so cargo running with a big ship, provided you have one, you can do it fast if you know exactly what you're doing. So, for example,
Yeah.
Leighton, Bezdek, Laurel, sure, and maybe there's like one or two more routes that you can do,
Oh, I
and
know a bunch of them.
there you go. But if you don't, you have to use third-party software to
Yes.
kind
Yeah.
of try and
Yeah.
figure out what's happening. And then more often than not, especially around patches, these are not correct values. So often when I try to do this, and I'm not a trader, but I kind of enjoy trading, but I'm not a trader, I don't know what's happening, I end up wasting so much time and ending up losing money instead of making money. Like I would end up with some units that I cannot sell, or
Hmm.
I will go to a point where there's less units than what I expected and stuff like that. So unless
Yeah.
I'm doing like
Yeah.
basic Layton, which I can't fucking do anymore, because if I have to fly big ship into and out of L'Oreal again, my head will explode. Um,
Yeah.
so there's that. You have to be doing this regularly to know exactly what you're going to do, and then you can pull one or two cargo runs and make some money, especially now that the game is not crashing that often and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it comes to bounty hunting, it would be so, unless if your certificates are not screwing up all the time. For me, for example, like
Yeah, that's
they
true.
just disappear. I have to do that again, and then I have to build until I get to a mission that makes enough money, because my reputation can be screwed up and whatnot. So, but also I'm kind of fed up with that as well. I don't know. There was
Me
a
too. Yeah.
time where we were doing only bounty hunting, and it's still the most profitable thing, but I kind of feel like people have had enough of it. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, newer
Yeah. For
players
sure.
still enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with it. But like for me, but still, like
Oh, it's super
it's
boring.
questionable,
But
right?
it is
Again,
something you can do in a
you can,
shorter period of time. Yeah. And
except
that's
for
kind of where
like you
like
have to be prepared. Like you have to have your certificates ready.
yes.
You have to be in the right spot,
Yeah.
because certificates are ridiculously stupid. If you want a bounty hunt around PO, your
Yeah.
certificate
Yeah.
is in Stanton. If in a Stanton, sorry, um, Lorville, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Hurston. Yeah.
Kirsten.
You can kind of cheese that a little bit if you ditch the certification and just eat the like couple $1,000s and just pick it up again. Like it's
I
random
tried.
where that.
Oh, for me,
Mm,
it's always like for at least as much as I tried. PO, if I'm at PO,
yeah.
I'm gonna get Lorville. If I'm at Lorville, I will get um R
Hmm.
Corp. Always. If I'm in R Corp, I'm gonna get
Yeah, I've had
uh
a bunch that spawn in the same system as me, but
so
you're right. Like you
just a
might have to
certification,
do.
right? So just a
Yeah. Yeah.
certification.
Yeah.
And then if I'm doing
Yeah.
this, I'm doing it in a Hawk. It takes forever for me to fly from place to place. Like
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
whatever, dude.
Yeah.
And then what was the third
Yeah. That's
one
where I go and change
you were
ships.
saying? What was the third loop? There was a third loop as
Mining.
well. Mining, I have to completely disagree, because mining I tried 2 times in a row, like in 2 different patches. I would go to Iron Halo. I know you're not mining Iron Halo.
I never go there.
And
Yeah.
then the fucking rocks are despawning. They're unstable. They're unmineable. And then there
why
are
I don't go
certain
there.
stations. Yeah, but I don't like plant side mining. And then I go to the station, and then the station refinery doesn't work, and because some stations refineries just don't work, and yeah, it's just annoying, and I don't know what to do about
Yeah.
it. So all
Sure.
of these, it's just like it's very very annoying for me to like back in
Yes.
the days, like okay, I have 10 hours, so whatever, but now I have
Yeah.
like an hour or two, and I just can't.
Sure. And that's kind of where, like I said, like this wasn't really my final point. I think there's still stuff to explore in this topic. And like part of that obviously is that, like when you're factoring in the stability issues of the games, yes, it can be incredibly punishing to try
Yeah,
to get anything done in a short period of time. But like that's not new. This has been Star Citizen for a while. But the thing that is new is they're ramping up the preparation aspect of things intentionally so that it does tend to take longer, even though the game is not necessarily at a point where
it
where
makes
that
sense.
is where it makes sense 100%. So like yeah, that is kind of my well, one of my points there.
It,
But
it
on the
would
other
it would be
hand,
easier
on
if they figured out if okay, this is a game or this is an alpha. So if it's an alpha, let me in the
yeah,
client just
exactly.
select
Yeah.
okay, I want to spawn in my Andromeda above Hurston
Yeah.
with this
Yeah.
inside, okay? And then I don't have to go through the fucking elevator 10 times and
Oh, that's the other
respawn and all
thing
that.
too, hey, right? Like they're designing all these like preparation uh gameplay mechanics and these time sinks, like having to commute to the space station,
Yeah.
whether it's via elevator or via train, but but again, like the end goal of the game is that you potentially are probably logging out in your ship and logging
Yeah.
right back in where you left off, right?
And I do that, by
And
the way. I do that all the time, but
yeah.
that's gonna bite you eventually.
Oh yeah, 100%, because the game's gonna bug and you're gonna lose everything that's in your ship, or you know, or you won't be able to log in at all because the bed logout bug is
Yeah.
there and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, like you're right in that, like, they're putting in this stuff because the end point of the game is supposed to be, one where you're not having to experience this grind
It's
and
often,
this
right?
time sink daily, or like
Yeah.
every time you log
Or
into play,
like
right? but
every 10
but the
minutes or
game's
whatever.
not there yet. But on the other
Yeah.
hand, and again, like, now that you've kind of got kind of behind the curtain with development and stuff like that, there's also the side. It's like, well, they have to put it in at some point, like they're building the game, they have to put the things in the game, right? So
So I disagree with this because we're essentially we're just testing the game, and they have their alpha beta wall where they can say, well, yeah, but this is just development. But
yeah,
then they
yeah,
treat
yeah,
it as a
yeah.
game, and
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
so if this was a AAA game that is out already and whatnot, and then they have a new feature that certain amount of people are testing,
Hmm.
sure. But the whole world doesn't work properly, and everyone who plays the game is
Yeah.
testing the game. And I think it would be more, honest if they did present it like that always, and then gave us tools to um, jump over these
Yes.
hurdles,
I agree. Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
if they're specifically testing a hurdle and tell us, okay, guys, we need to test new elevators. You'll have to use and dispatch. Sure, I
Yeah.
understand that. You need data on elevators. We have to use elevators, disable teleporting, for example, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
otherwise, I am testing your game. It's not
Yeah.
even in beta, right? So once we're in beta, we can talk about it. But right now, I
Well,
really feel
and
like
I think this right here is why they've decided that instead of putting these features in kind of ad hoc, they're going to basically cook them more in the Squadron 42 teams until you have kind of more of the, well, at least going, if you're going to believe what they're saying anyways, like, make it so that they are more interconnected with other aspects of the gameplay before implementing them into the game. We have yet to see whether or not that happens. That could very well just end up being another fucking staggered development bullshit,
yeah.
line that we've been fed in the past. But that is kind of, I think that you're not alone, at least, from
Let
what
me
we've
put it this
seen
way.
anyways from the other developers.
We have a huge QA team here, and our player base does not believe that we have QA. But I actually work next to them, and these
Yeah.
guys are working very, very hard. And therefore, CIG has a huge QA team. I'm 100% sure of this.
Oh
They
yeah,
have
yeah, and they're making it
hundreds
bigger.
people or more
The
working
player
on QA.
experience team, there was
Exactly.
an
This is all
SCL
part of QA.
event or about
Exactly.
that, yeah.
And do you think they have to spawn in the bed every time they're testing a
No.
feature? See what I
No, we
mean?
know we don't. We
But
know
you
they
know what
don't.
else? We are their biggest QA team. And let me tell you another thing. World of Warships has QA team, but it has two other groups of people who are called super testers and privateers. These guys are getting rewards in game for testing the ships on PT, or it's like PTU
Mhm.
for us. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
public test server. And they are where most of the data comes from. But imagine now your QA as Star Citizen is everyone who plays the game is your super tester. But unlike your QA department, they have to waste 20 minutes to half an hour every session to just start testing the game. Because if you tell me we are testing walking from the bed to the train
Yeah.
and sitting in the
Yeah.
train and then going to one elevator and then going to another elevator, we've been testing that for 7 years now. I don't think there's any data they're getting from this that is useful or valuable to them. So what I
No,
don't understand
it's
is
the
like, why
it's the
not?
downstream stuff.
Exactly.
Like balance. It's like, like how long does it take for like a pirate you just killed, to or a bounty hunter a pirate just killed to jump back into a ship and come back to try to take
Sure.
down that bounty again.
But then you test
You
that
know.
few patches and then
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
need to test it anymore.
Well,
And
that is kind of this does kind of come to what we've talked about previously, and like, should the public test universe just be up all the time? And that's where you do, like where you put these features first until they actually feel like a game enough to put into the actual universe.
if you could have like certain, like there are certain pain points for the Star Citizen player, which is exactly that. Like, you wake up in the bed. So tell me if you would be okay with something like this. I'm just throwing it out, like something stupid probably, but whatever.
Sure.
If they made a teleport as a dev tool, whatever, it doesn't matter, and it's next to every bed, you spawn and you can go through the teleport and spawn next to the terminal, and then you go to another teleport that spawns you into your ship's hangar. That's it. So you don't have to like go the entire fucking 10 minutes Lorville run, trains, everything. So all I'm saying is like, why it would even be more, I think, effective for them to do something like this, even if it requires a little bit of development time, which I'm pretty sure they have tools like this, but I don't know, obviously, but I'm thinking they might.
Well, they do. They can teleport or spawn themselves
Exactly. It would
pretty
be
much
crazy
anywhere
if
they
they
want from
couldn't.
what we've
Yeah.
seen. But
And and then they would have all this time invested into running would actually be quality data of people playing the game.
playing the game.
And I'm not
Yeah.
saying this should be a thing in beta or when the game comes out. No, I want this commute to be a thing because it's very immersive. I want to have
and
to
the
prepare
artists
myself.
spend so much time.
Absolutely. I have nothing against it. Elevators, everything. As long as I can like go there only when I have to, it's perfectly fine. I don't have anything against it. But if every session for years of playing, I have to repeat this fucking thing over and over again, which is definitely not what I'm logged into for, or no one is, to run from their bed into the ASOP terminal through the train. I mean, I do that every day now in my real life. I go to Metro every day to work and from work. I don't want to log into a game and wait. Like I literally, in Belgrade, we don't have Metro, but here we do. And I went into New Babbage Metro and I saw the timer and I was like, yeah, my Metro in Prague takes 2 minutes in peak times. And this is exactly what I'm doing right now. I just came from work and I'm sitting here waiting for the Metro. And I don't want to do that.
Yes. Okay. But
to test the
again,
game.
like, yes, yeah. Okay, that's the specification.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
because,
saying.
like you said, like in the full game, I want that. Like that's I want to feel like I live in this universe. You know what I mean?
100%.
But yes, like I don't want to have to, do all that because I decided or because the game crashed when I was, just as I was taking off or something like that, right? Now I got to go do the whole I agree. I don't know what the solution is, honestly. I mean, at this point it's kind of like just like it just is what it is. Like I think that just kind of is my mentality about a lot of the way that Star Citizen is right now. It's just like like clearly they're just gonna do things the way that they've been doing things,
Yeah, I
and
think
our
so.
only
No.
real solution is wake me up when Squadron 42's
And it's so
out.
unfortunate, right? Like so many people have this same mindset, and
Yeah.
of
Well,
course,
and I think
it's tiring.
the one thing is that you notice this you 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 notice this in new players starting the game to burnout. Like I constantly am seeing things about like, oh, this is another record fun breaking year, and I'm seeing so many people saying like, oh my god, this game is the best thing ever and stuff like that, and it feels like that
Mm-hmm.
for the first few months that you're playing. The train station, the train ride, everything like that is just like wow, wow. Like
Retention in Star Citizen must
and
be horrible.
it is
Like
like
content
listen
creators
to
are staying
ATC.
in the game, and that's it.
Yeah, listen to listen to Answer the Call, right? Like, how many people has Mike had on there that bought the game a year ago and are already like, okay, so when's the rest of it out? You know, when do I not have to deal with the train ride anymore? When do I not have to when it and that's kind of it, right? Like, yes, more and more people are seeing the game, more and more people are jumping into the game, and getting excited
And more people
making
are
and
jumping out of the
spending
game.
money. And more people are hitting the point here where they're realizing like, oh, everything I do in this game takes an hour, because the game's not complete yet. And
It's just not
and they're
optimized for gameplay at all.
yeah, they're just signing out and basically saying, I'll come back when it's better.
Now, I'll
So
bring up a point where it's just something I've learned here. For so many things that I thought I'm 100% right, and then I come here and I check the numbers and stats, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm so wrong. And one thing that I know before, but now I know even better, is that like the loud portion of the people, like us now, saying, we
mm,
don't like this, whatever. There are people, there's usually more people that enjoy this stuff. They're just not very vocal about it, because as human beings, this has nothing to do with games, but you're going to be vocal about things
yeah,
that you don't like, and you're just going to acknowledge and accept things that you like. It's just normal for us.
yeah,
It's like extremely rare that something has to be extremely exceptionally good for people to start talking about it, right? um
uh-huh,
so uh basically, but the thing is, again, I would apply this theory to Star Citizen as well if it was a game, right? If there are things that I don't like
yes, yeah,
in Star Citizen, and I'm like, I don't care about fucking mining. Why are they developing mining again? I don't give a shit about it. Like, can you stop doing it? I'm literally using something that is like parallel here. And then you look at the stats, and there's like 20,000 people mining every day, and that being
yeah,
their main game loop, and that's why they log in. But they're
yeah,
not complaining, and they're not talking about it. It's fine. They don't care. They're not on the forums. They're not.
yeah,
But this is an alpha. That's the problem. We all have to run, and I'm not talking about the gameplay loops or anything. I'm talking about
yes, yeah,
literal waste of time that is so repetitive, and it.
yeah,
I feel like this is going to sound really bad, and I really don't like using the acronym PTSD, but literally, this is the feeling you get when you're like, oh man, oh,
yeah.
I have to run
Well,
again, and then that elevator, and
and that feeling can be enough to just make you not even bother starting the game. I've been there. That's basically where I'm at right now with Star Citizen. It's kind of just, you
yeah,
know, like I just it's not even like there's just thinking about all the stuff that goes along with that, or I feel like playing Star Citizen, but yeah, what am I actually gonna do? And it's just enough
yes,
to make me just go, I
I'll just
just
go
will
and do
play
something
something
else.
else.
Exactly.
But
And I
and
didn't
to
have
be,
this before, but
I
now
think
that I'm
one of the
limited with time,
things,
yes. Sorry.
sure. I was just gonna say, just kind of want to, just to kind of to touch on, like you were saying in your last point about people, you know, uh, being vocal about something they don't like and not necessarily be, like I have to clarify everything that we're talking here and saying like obviously there are people who still have fun in Star Citizen and don't mind, you know, the time sink and stuff like that, and that is also
Yeah.
fine. Like I'm not saying this is garbage and you're wrong for having fun in Star Citizen. Like if
No,
you're
if you're having
having fun
fun,
with the way the game
fuck
is
yeah,
right
dude.
now, yeah, do it. Like I've been
Awesome.
there. Like it's just yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't be having fun. It's just kind of like our standpoint, and specifically my perspective here. After having played this game for so long, I'm finding it kind of like you're saying, like just kind of wearying with how much of a time sink there is. Like I
It's
have
not even a
found
game, right?
ways,
Like when you're actually doing
yeah,
gameplay, you're having fun. I'm still having fun. There's no doubt. It's these like time sinks in between that are not even intended, that they're killing my
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Actually, kind of like it's speaking like even flying to the river yesterday that I did. Um, I I enjoyed it. I don't know, like
Yeah.
literally all I was doing was flying over Microtech, but like I don't know, like, for some reason, like, that which some people probably would consider a horrible, boring, time sync, I was like, dude, this feels like, look at the mountains down there, beautiful. The sun's coming up. I'm flying in a cool looking like fighter plane, like way above. Like I felt like I was going somewhere because I had to
Yeah,
navigate by
you had a
my
goal.
bearing and checking my distance to
Yeah,
to
you
port,
were
and
playing
even
exploration, man, and the
yeah, just
sound is good. The immersion is there. This is what I said. Like sometimes they're so close to making. If you remember, when we got the timed delivery missions, I said just limit the height to, I don't know, 1,000 meters, so that I have actually to go and fly low, see the terrain, be careful about
mhm.
my flying, and not go like 10,000 up and then full speed ahead and then
Sure.
10,000 down.
But
Which is
even doing that yesterday, I was enjoying that for some
yes,
reason.
yes.
Like going
But
up to 14,000 meters and flying.
were
Like
you enjoying getting to your Gladius?
on I just kind of phased it out, honestly. But no, I definitely didn't enjoy getting to my Gladius because I
Exactly.
will tell you, um, uh, because the patch rolled over, my controls were messed up
Oh
because I
no.
had so I actually had to like exit the game like I almost just quit. I almost was just like, I don't even want to play this right now,
I
because
did not bring my sticks, so I was setting up the Xbox controller yesterday and flying on that. And setting
oh
it up
yeah,
is just
yeah.
forever, man. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
you.
and that's exactly it. It was just like, "Oh my god," like, my stick 1, 2, and my pedals were on different inputs now, so I had to go through, and I almost quit just because of that, like, that extra, not just the time spent kinda customizing controls, but knowing that when I did that, I was gonna have to take that train all over again to get to my ship, you
Yep.
know? Ugh.
By the way, your stick one was stick two and stick two or stick one. Is that what the problem was?
Yeah, basically, but, like,
But the
the
controls
the
were there,
pedals show up as a third input as well. So for me, I have like basically 1, 2, 3 for devices.
but there's
Input
that
1 and
command that you
3
run in the
reverses
co-
them. The
yeah.
thing that fucks
So the
that up
third
is
one
the
probably
pedals.
fucks it up. Yeah. But
Yeah,
couldn't you like unplug pedals, reverse it, and then plug pedals?
that's basically what I did. And
Okay.
I just have 3 different profiles saved. they're
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
literally
yeah, I
like
do that
two
always.
three
Yeah.
one 132, and like, and yeah. So, like,
Smart.
because I've done this so many damn times, I've
Yeah.
just saved so I can just basically just switch between them now. But yeah, no, like, it was because one I ended up having to like unplug it and then plug it back in, and then got some of that sorted out. But then the twist axis on my joystick was gone, so I had to like recalibrate that. And I thought that my sticks were just done. I was like,
I saw you. Yeah, you messaged me with that.
I might just have to, get new sticks now. But anyways, yeah,
Might
no,
be
but it's
time.
like it's the game instability combined with the time sinks that are already in the game that really sometimes make it inaccessible,
Yeah.
and make you
And
just
then
not
once
wanna
you
play,
get to the
for
gameplay,
sure.
it's actually fun. If you can make it
Yeah.
fun, if you can enjoy this kind of a gameplay, then it's great. And
Yeah.
all I'm saying is like just give players an option to skip this while allow others to not skip it. You don't have to enter the fucking portal or whatever it is. And then when you're
Yeah.
testing an elevator, just remove that one and make us test the elevator and tell us in patch notes, guys, we need to test elevators now. I
Yeah.
would never
I don't know,
object
man.
this. Like I'd be
I just don't think
100%
it's gonna
down.
happen,
It's
right?
never
Like
gonna
like
happen.
they're yeah, like they're just clearly doubling down on, on trying to, like,
Sell it as
trying to
a
build the
live
game in the
service game.
direction they want it to go. Yeah, and then but just not having the rest of the game there to balance out the chore that they're kind of building into the game, the time sinks they're building into the game. Yeah.
For me, it's unfortunate. I really hope that not many people are having the same feeling. Um, but yeah, which proves to be a thing very
Well,
often. Like I really did not like the
yeah.
new trailer for the patch, and then you kind of were okay with it, and some other folks that I asked they were okay with it, and I just like the music was really wrong for me and everything. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I don't like it, but there are other people who don't mind. So good. I'm always happy when this happens
Yeah.
because I don't
Well,
want them
that's
to suffer or anything. I love Star Citizen and I want
well,
it to,
and
like,
that's the
it's
thing.
okay.
I think the people who suffer just leave right now for now, like
But I don't want to
like they
leave.
might get angry.
Okay.
I know, but like that's the thing. Like that's going back to like the whole retention conversation, right? Like I just think that people, like they play this through the honeymoon period and they either are hooked and really enjoy everything about this and all the time sinks are worth it and they stick around, or they play it until the honeymoon period wears off and then they're like, well, m- moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I think like, and this is the other thing with the funding rolling in the way that it is, CIG is
They don't
clearly
have
not
to change
incentivized to
anything.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And to be fair about that, like I don't want them to be incentivized. I just wish they would figure it out and like change it for the sake of changing it. Because if
Yeah.
they get
Well,
incentivized, they're not making money, and I don't want them to stop making money. Honestly, like
yeah,
yeah,
totally. Well, I guess to end it off, like what I wish, I think, more than anything is that they took more of the standpoint of making the game good, like a good experience. I wish that they did that earlier. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah.
wish that they did, that they'd adopted that kind of standpoint of implementing systems that are more fully fleshed out and polished and connect with the game years ago,
I wonder if they had
instead
a
of doing
plan
it now.
where they needed a minimum amount of replayability before they could like start doing it that way. Because if you have
Uh,
like only two
yeah,
game loops and you are working on one of them, so then you have one implement. You know what I mean? Like, then
yeah.
rather have two that or three that are like, I don't know what their logic is, but I agree. I think that's more fair to the player base in general.
Thus far, honestly, from what I've seen, it does seem like it's very much an alpha mentality in game, like true alpha, like in the game development. It's just basically, work on this thing, it's done, throw it in, like
Yeah,
it,
or at least it used to be
it,
until now, until recently,
yes, yeah,
where now they're
yeah,
like, we're gonna make sure it works first and then throw
yeah.
it in. But
And I get that there were tech hurdles before this, that that probably prevented them from doing stuff like this, or like having more of that kind of gameplay focused mentality, but man, it would just if they'd have been working on creating a gameplay experience and making the gameplay experience, more playable and more game like, years ago, where what would the experience be like right now? I think it would
I
be,
don't know, maybe
yeah,
better, but maybe
way
not. We
better.
don't like, yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, armchair
Yeah,
Devin
yeah,
here,
yeah.
but yeah.
Well, we gotta do that every now and then. I mean, in the end, we are part of this development as players, so yeah, I mean, it makes sense to talk about it. Okay, we're gonna switch over to our imagination station. It's a very open one, so keep in mind everything we say from now on is imaginary. And we got a new thing in the game. For a lot of folks, this is nothing. For the other part, this is so much. And it's the river. River runs through Microtech now. There's only one. Um, I haven't seen it personally. And this topic is, well, Imagination Station is more about what can we like imagine rivers and river tech can give us in the future. Because right now it's just a beautiful sightseeing spot, and that's it. It did bring some new things as well. You can walk under the river if you have armor, which is a new thing in Star Citizen. It should be possible for ships to land on top of it, but apparently they still explode. Hover bikes and hover vehicles are capable of hovering above water. I did not yet test this, but I wonder if it's only Microtech River or any water surface. If you guys know, please let us know in the comments. I'll test it eventually. And I don't know, like just river being there, I know there's going to be a bunch of new screenshots. It's a very popular activity in Star Citizen community, which for those who enjoyed it, it's amazing and it's kind of free marketing. But also, I think we might see some racing there, either hover vehicles or maybe even like racing down the river in some other land vehicles. I can totally see this being part of something that Atmo Esports would probably turn into another rally or something like that. I don't know how long it is. I think it was like 4 kilometers or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not
something
like
like
not
that.
too long, but maybe if you have like an
No.
Ursa race, you can go around it, like go one way and then come back. Or so. I'm sure they're gonna come up with something to use it. It's a point of interest. It's a place where people can meet. To be fair,
I don't think they will, to be honest. I don't
I
think they're going to
was
use this one.
We have a derelict huge ship. Which one is on Daymar?
Daymar, yeah, the Javelin.
Javelin, and people don't really go there. But to be fair, this is much easier to find than that Jav.
It is, yeah.
But yeah,
and it's generally more interesting.
What do you expect, like rivers, like in general, will bring?
Well, roads, but I know we're not necessarily talking about that. Like we do know that
they explained it, so yeah.
Yeah, so road procedural road tech is apparently the same tech or pretty much the same tech they're using for rivers. So like, anything you could think of that would come along with any sort of gameplay for roads eventually. Whether it's just kind of traveling around a planet or even just navigating by road to find other settlements. Like if you can find a road that goes from Hurston to an outlying settlement, kind of, and you're trying to find that outlying settlement, easiest way, follow a road.
Yeah. I mean, flying actual planes, following rivers and roads is literally one of the ways of navigation.
Yeah,
that's something you learn.
So I was going to say that for later, but I do think that like that having rivers and features like that in recognizable features on planets and stuff like that could very well end up being important for navigating if you're exploring, right? Like it's pretty easy to find your way around when it's like, oh, there's the river. If I keep the river on my left and I, go somewhere, you can use that as your kind of like navigation point. So I could see it being,
I wonder if they name rivers and then
honestly,
then you can get the mission like next to the river, Danube, whatever.
This is something that they haven't really talked about, but is something that's going to be very important. How do you, like at some point they're going to have to start naming continents on planets, mountain ranges, rivers, lakes, oceans, like that's something that I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but like that's something that we haven't really heard about,
I think that's potential gameplay.
How they're going to do that.
If you remember, like one of the first things that I've learned about Star Citizen that really drew me into it was that the exploration and discovery will be part of the gameplay, where certain places or things that you discover first will be named by you in Wikipedia or whatever equivalent. What do we have, like Galactopedia or whatever? And I wonder if this can be Chag's River. If I'm the first person who pinpoints the river start and end and report it to Galactopedia, and then they name it by my whatever way I want to name it. I don't think the landmarks will be like that, but it would be interesting. Honestly, it would be interesting.
So I'm laughing just because like I'm, like obviously
What's wrong with Chag's River? Excuse me?
Nothing, no, but nothing with that one. But I don't know, giant cock and balls 42069 XXX.
Well, they would have it. So they actually addressed this, if I'm not wrong, because there's only finite amount of landmarks, or that
Did they actually address this?
And you can name it only once. Either someone explained this to me in the wrong way, but I had a long conversation on one of my first of my streams where people were explaining about like what's the plan for this.
Hmm.
And then like
Well,
these are like,
I don't know
let's
the
say you
plan,
find
but
a mountain peak and there's only one of these mountain peaks, and if it's called Masso's mountain peak, that's it. Like it's not that much at first. It would require a lot of moderation, but it would very fastly like die down. You can literally hire people from the outside.
well,
They don't have to be developers to check the names. You know what I mean?
yeah, and run like algorithms to make sure,
Exactly. Yeah.
you
And
know.
then I don't know if
But
like this would be
but
implemented
I
in a map or whatnot. But it would neat.
yeah,
It
see
would be interesting.
this is the thing. Like this is the thing. Like I think to especially on the known planets, they should excuse me, they should already have
I agree.
names. So
Yeah,
like
because if like
how are they going to do
Earth,
that?
you're not gonna rename Danube or Nile
Yeah.
into
Or on Terra. Like Terra's like
yeah,
a like
exactly.
practically the capital of the UEE at this point. You
Yes,
know, like it's that planet is going to be so well explored that there isn't going to be any unnamed mountains.
I agree. I agree. These like
Then again,
well-known planets should come with names already.
yeah, that's weird though. Like so cuz like if you look at Google Maps and you zoom in on my hometown, like we know the names of the mountains around there, but does Google know them? I don't know.
It should.
So like does that cuz I
The
guarantee
reasoning
you like
behind this would be interesting because you can tie missions. You know, the way, for example, World of Warcraft classic quests were before
hmm,
any add-ons is like it would tell you follow the river south, so you will find a hut and there's a corpse, and inside their pocket you'll find the message. If it lead you to whatever, and then you'll be like, okay, so the river that goes south, there's three rivers, you got to figure out which
yeah,
river it is, and this
yeah,
creates a very immersive experience of you like trying to figure out what someone told you instead of, oh, go to these coordinates and you have a marker like
yeah.
jump there. Okay, there's your derelict site. Find the pilot. And there's a marker on the pilot's head. That's kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know,
So
man. Very
I guess
lazy.
they don't have to name like every mountain, but like yeah, man,
No,
like
but
I
some.
really hope that they know them that they name the majorities or at least like the mountain ranges, you know what I mean?
But rivers
Or
for sure, or
rivers
oceans.
too, rivers for sure. Yeah. But
Okay,
yeah, I guess to go back to it, navigation definitely would be, something I hope that they incorporate into rivers for
we
gameplay.
already know flora will change around the river. They
Yeah.
explained that already. I
Yeah.
wonder if this will affect fauna, and so the
They said it was going to, didn't they?
animals. I've heard
Yeah,
this in someone else's stream who said that potentially they would expect rivers to attract animals or
I thought that was
whatever
on
predators.
ISC or like one of the SCLs, I thought.
I haven't heard that, but maybe I missed it. But that would be interesting. Then you would have to be potentially more careful if Yeti is drinking at the river.
Yeah.
Or if you want to hunt one down, then there's a chance that it will either spawn or that's in its pathing, it might go there
Yeah.
eventually.
Well, because they did say that the like fauna, they want those creatures to have like needs as well. So like, built into them. So they're gonna hunt when they're hungry. They're going to or find food when they're hungry. They're gonna find water when they're thirsty, right? So I mean
I just I just
if
think
that
about it and
works,
I'm like, they will never make this happen. It's like a
it's
game
possible
within
not.
the game. Like, yeah,
But
right.
not really though. I mean,
I don't know, dude. Let's
like I'm
see.
pretty sure other games have done that.
MMOs?
Maybe just by spawn rates. Like
They
definitely
spawn
in
and
like
have
WoW and
like
stuff. It's like if you're by a
pathing.
river, they just they spawn. But
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, they did other unthinkable things, so maybe, but this would extend
mm.
development for like
I've been
7 more
playing.
years.
I've been yeah. I've been playing. Well, that's the whole point of the like their subsumption system, right? Is that they can basically take an AI and just like drop behaviors into the AI in theory. So we'll see if that actually happens. But I've been playing this Jurassic World Evolution game with Leah where you like build a Jurassic Park, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But like those guys in there have like the
Yes.
dinos have different
They have
behaviors where they'll like
exactly.
does
but
seek out,
this is a single player environment
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
the entire game is around this, and that's what I'm saying. They would literally have to make a game within the game. It's like huge system that understands behavior of certain animals that are interacting, and then there's like how many planets and whatnot, right?
yeah.
I mean, sure, I'm not saying I don't want it,
Yeah.
but
But
that's a
like, is it
huge,
possible?
it's a
I don't know.
huge thing to do.
It depends on how robust their subsumption
Yeah,
system is,
true.
because like that is something that because they wanted to use that on all the NPCs, right? Where the NPCs have like a daily,
Routine, but then the
routine that they
human,
go through,
like,
right?
you can replicate this almost everywhere, right? And then for the animals with different biomes and different planets and fucking space whales and dude,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Just when I think about fauna in this, like flora, sure, you make assets and then they procedurally generate planets like in No Man's Sky, but just much neater.
Yeah.
But then when I think about fauna, bro, like, oh, it scares the shit out of me because I want it to be really good, but I know that this is huge potentially.
Yeah. But I mean, even if like even if there aren't any complex even if there aren't any complex behaviors and stuff like that, I do think like,
Spotting still would
hunting
be a
or
thing.
research for
Yeah,
finding, yeah, exactly. And like spawn probabilities, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
like you have X percentage of a, this beast spawning around a river versus a much less chance of it spawning up on a mountain or something like that, right? Like
I just
what?
remembered New World when it was like still in development. They were like, okay, so the animals actually will breed, and you will have to be careful about killing them because that will
Mm.
affect their um, what
You
do
know
you
what
call
did
it?
that? Eco actually did that.
They did it, and then they ran out of like 3 species in one day.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, this cannot happen. We need these
No,
animals in the game.
oh, okay. But in eco, that's part of the
Yeah,
game.
but
It's like you have to
eco
be
is like,
very careful.
I know, but
It's
this
a
is,
super niche.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
literally
yeah. And
you're
it's not an
managing the
MMO.
world, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And then
it's
the
not an
world ends
MMO.
or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Oh
and
my
it just
god.
like, well, with New World, it doesn't make any sense either with how like
It's one of those
how
things like you think
ridiculous
about
their
like,
crafting systems
oh,
are.
this will be awesome. Everyone's gonna love it. And then you make it and you're like, oh shit, how did we not think about this? Like, it's not gonna
Well, again,
happen.
like I think they could have made it work, but the problem is that their crafting system is so resource hungry because it's all basically just grindy to
Dude, I
increase your.
remember there's a mission for a goat and there's like one spawn point in
Yeah.
two areas. And I remember the first 3 days, the global chat was like, anyone seen a goat?
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. I just
Not
quit
a
that
good
one.
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like
Um,
that's kind of one of the things that they talk about minables in Star Citizen being like finite and limited. And that's part of that's another one of those ideas that I go like, I don't know if that's gonna
I
work.
think they should be
But
like semi-finite, like if you mine it too fast, then it goes dormant, and then
yeah.
after, I don't know, like 10 days it starts slowly spawning again. um
Or they just like this is how you give work to your explorers is you're like, yeah, okay, so
it
this
spawns somewhere else,
vein
right?
is finite, they mine it out, and then like 2 days later they just respawn a node somewhere else on the planet, and it's up to the explorers to find it. But yeah, speaking of though, like that mining around rivers is potentially
It
a
should be, it would
gameplay
make
that could be
sense.
there, like like
Any
certain.
gathering, right? Any gathering should be,
Well,
or
and we're only
like,
thinking water rivers here too, right? Like if you're talking like a lava planet or something like that, like yeah, like going to the edge of a lava river would be like a place where you might be able to find like more rare crystals or metals or
yeah.
rocks or whatever, right? But yeah, like
Fishing.
I think yeah, resource gathering is or the
Fishing
obvious
is
kind of
confirmed, right? They did confirm fishing at some point
pretty sure, yeah, pretty
recently.
sure they did.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
fishing, definitely, I can't wait for that. And then part of me really wants a boat, or a raft or something like that I can just
Yeah,
chill and fish on.
big rivers. That's another thing. More than
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
because this one
Yeah,
is a small
it's a
river.
spring, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what else could there be. Oh man, I want
waterfalls.
to see bridges when the roads come. Do you think we're gonna have a
Yeah,
bridge?
well, and that's the thing. Like waterfalls too. Like then you start being able to
Oh,
deal with
waterfalls.
like caves behind waterfalls too.
Yes.
Which
Oh my
has its
god, the
own sort
caves
of
we
like
have
gameplay.
already, like
Yeah.
some water in them, like a
Oh
waterfall, and
man,
then
yeah.
right.
Like rivers in the cave. Oh my god, that's like claustrophobia nightmare. Cave
But it's
diving is so
nice.
scary.
For those, I would like to go and see something like that.
Sure, but like I'm talking about scuba diving through the rivers in the cave.
I've watched some
That's scary.
documentaries about that, and it's
Fucking
really
scary.
scary. Yeah, people just get lost and die, and yeah,
Yep.
crazy. By the way, a little bit of a off-topic tangent. They found some extremely rare species of whale in Adriatic Sea, which is very uncommon.
Hmm.
It's like so there was one whale, that's it, and it's like chilling there for some reason.
Hmm.
It's an extremely small like sea kind of, so we don't really have whales there, but it was all over the news, like pictures and all that. So I'll send you
Interesting.
I'll send you that like I'll send you a link or something. I know you
It's
love
not that
whales, so
small. I do, yeah.
Adriatic. It is, and
Yeah.
the way you enter, like Mediterranean in general,
It's
does not
narrow.
really
Yeah,
have
yeah,
whale.
yeah.
Like check the entrance to Mediterranean, and you'll see
Yeah,
how
it's
narrow
true.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's
like we
there or
barely
like
have sharks.
like the Red Sea. Um, oh my God, what's that canal called?
Suez,
Yeah. Well, there's a
like you,
canal too that goes through the south part of the Mediterranean, right? Like down into the Red Sea.
but that's Suez Canal, no?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I meant.
And then you have the
Yeah,
actual entrance to the west,
in Gibraltar or
Gibraltar, yeah,
yeah,
where
by
you can
Gibraltar.
literally
Yeah,
see from one side to the other, so it's not very
yeah, that makes sense
friendly for
actually.
big
Interesting.
fish.
Hmm.
Sorry about that, but yeah,
No, it's fine.
it,
Yeah,
it's kind of it's not on topic, but yeah, I'd love to see some huge animals around like oceans, and I mean the rivers should also start connecting lakes and oceans on some planets.
yeah,
That would be interesting
yeah.
as well.
Well, and it should too, right? Because like they said that like the procedural system that drives the generation of the river actually,
Ties
identifies
into it, right?
higher
Yeah.
higher altitude areas, that flow into lower altitude basins and kind of like form those sorts of bodies of water kind of naturally. So yeah, I guess most of the gameplay that you can see around rivers is that like resource harvesting
Yeah,
um
of any kind
sort
of
of
sort.
gameplay. But I mean, obviously, like you said, like okay, races, like that's
Yeah, it's just point of interest. So you can create gameplay around it either as a sandbox, or the game can send you towards a point of interest, and rivers will be very recognizable. Even when we had like a bug, you remember in Hurston, or that like channel where it was like a cut through
oh
the
yeah, yeah,
mountain.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone will go there because it's something recognizable and interesting. You'll fly through it and
Yep.
whatnot. It's the same with rivers, right?
Or the
It's
giant wall
oh
on
yeah,
Levski.
yeah. These are,
Yeah.
if it's recognizable, then people will be there every now and then, I'm sure. And then this will be remembered as the first river ever. Like imagine like 10 years from now and you're playing with town, you're like, back in my days, this river was created. I was there. The
Yeah.
Teg River was created. I'm
Yep.
totally claiming it. I didn't even see
I
it, but
flew down it in a gladius and ripped my
yeah.
wing off because it turns out there's very tight turns.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Well, we're gonna go to the next topic now.
Nah. I'm
Are we
gonna
not?
save that zero effort. I'm gonna save the zero
You're
effort
gonna
for
say
next
it
time.
for okay.
Yeah.
Well
So I have to do a
then,
little bit more research. Slightly less than zero effort next time. That's what I'm aiming
fair,
for
fair.
these science sections going forward. I'm gonna aim to have them be slightly less zero effort.
Just to have it on record, we did have a topic. And so yeah, you're gonna expand on that the other time. It's fine. I'm totally in agreement with this. We're not like being lazy. It does exist. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. Okay, so we don't have any questions and answers because this time we did not stream this live, which you suggested, but I actually completely agree with that because I didn't even know if my setup will function properly. This was
That's kind
almost
of what
like
I was
a
thinking.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
trial run.
yeah,
Trial run.
and
Plus, I was like, wasn't really sure how long we'd end up going because, again, like, like you're still at the office and you have to work tomorrow. So,
but it's okay. It's not even 10 p.m. I can still catch the metro and whatnot. So, but yeah, it seems like everything went fine. We'll see. It's only over when it's uploaded and people can start watching it.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
And we
therefore
can,
we. Oh, sorry, go for it.
no, just kidding. We also, again, like hope the sound levels are okay. And we're not going to know really for sure until the video is published. But yeah.
Yeah, kind of did the audio test, but yeah, I don't know. All the stuff is now different. I've even lost the font, as you can see. This kind of silly one.
Yeah, I did notice
It's a
that. I was like, oh,
placeholder. But I'll find the old one for the next one. I think it's called Audio Wave or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I was. I'm just happy we are capable of doing this, and I hope everything went right. If not, we're gonna make it better next time. Again, guys, feedback would be appreciated for anything, just because of what we just said now. But also, I don't know if you have anything else to add to the
no,
end
pretty
of this
much.
episode.
Yeah, just, like, again, I mean, obviously we're on a weird schedule now because like we had relocations to deal with, and we had, let's be honest, kind of a drought with the
True.
game. And I don't know, like, yeah, I think you could probably tell that both Chegg and I are kind of just like, okay, whatever, but a little bit, but
It's still fun to talk about
yeah,
it, to be fair. Like
totally, yeah.
it's always fun to talk about Star Citizen.
And if you guys have anything to add, I mean, we say this pretty much every episode, but we usually have some good conversations kind of in the comment section. So throw those down there if you have any comments on anything we've talked about. Um, yeah, I guess if you like the video, and if you want to see more of these, you know, throw us a subscribe. But obviously, we're kind of like on a less regular schedule right now,
True,
but
true.
like
For now.
we're still doing these even though we've been silent for a while. We're still here.
I can tell you next 2 weeks we're not gonna make one because
No.
next 3 weeks, 2 weeks from now we have a huge tournament, global tournament in World of Warships, which I'm doing production for, and it's happening on the weekend. And the week after I have a guest here, and then the week after we can think about it. It's gonna be like a month,
Actually,
but
yeah,
yeah,
that might
we'll
work out.
figure it out. We'll figure it out. But we can do it, and that's great. Now we can chill and set up whenever we feel like, and I'm happy
And you
about
can
that.
make everybody jealous with your very
Listen,
professional very
there's
professional streaming equipment.
there's
Yeah.
3 more here. If you want to fly to Prague every time we're doing a podcast,
I keep
you are
saying I
more
want
than
to
welcome
I
to.
want to go over to Europe one of these days.
Yeah, if you
It's kind of
come
one of
to
the places
Prague,
I have yet to go.
we're doing an episode here
Okay, sure,
together.
yeah. Yeah. It's for me, it's just like I'm not really like that much of a city person, like
Ah,
most of
no,
what
no,
I
no,
want
no.
to see when I'm traveling is like outdoors or
Listen,
underwater.
listen.
But I know, I
Prague
know,
is
I
a
know.
must
Europe
see.
is like I know. Yeah, this is the
And
thing.
instead of underwater, you can see under city. Like there's the
Yeah,
whole city under the city
yeah.
and whatnot. And
I
there's
keep I
river,
keep
and
saying I'm
it's
not
beautiful, really.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm not really a city person, and then my friends will go, or like Kim will come back from a tour or something and show me pictures, and they're just like, "Wow, like that's so
Yeah.
cool." But
No,
yeah,
Prague,
I haven't got around to Europe yet, basically.
literally wherever you go, you're like, holy shit. Wow. Look at this. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah,
Because I always thought
yeah,
it's like the city center, but now that I'm here, I just sit on a metro and go somewhere, and I just randomly get out and I'm like, this can be a city
yeah,
center as well. Like, what the
yeah,
hell, bro? It's
yeah,
fucking
for
awesome.
sure. So it's on my list of things that I want to do at some point, but yeah, who knows?
I'd be more than
Yeah,
happy to
if if
spend some
if I
time
do,
exploring with you guys.
yeah, if we do show up in Prague, then we will do
Maybe a short one,
We'll
a
do
special.
yeah, do a short episode before your work finds out and kicks me out.
Oh no, they're fine. They would allow that. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you everyone for being here with us. I mean, it's still been 3 hours. Not too bad.
That's
And
respectable.
yeah. And we'll see
Okay.
you when we see you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.